All right. From a famous Dazed and Confused movie, we're back. Red Hill Racing Podcast. I'm Ben Knight. Once again here with your co-host, Dustin Lee.
What's up, y'all?
How you doing tonight, Dustin?
I just chilling. I've been working all day and yanked the motor out, get everything ready for race season.
There you go. There you go. I kept Dustin waiting. I apologize. I was a little bit late tonight, but we're back at it again. This is Tuesday night. Yeah, Tuesday night. Probably gonna be launching this one, so you guys are probably gonna be listening to it tomorrow, Thursday at the latest. How about that? That's our goal,
Nice.
by the way. We're gonna try and do one a week, attempt to launch it around Wednesday, Thursday. That way, if you listen during the week at work, you have something to listen to. And if you're traveling on the weekend or heading to a race, hopefully you got something to listen to there as well. So that's our goal. Does that
Sounds like
suit
a
you?
plan.
All right.
Sounds like a plan. One day we'll get ahead and we'll do a two a night and we'll be ahead of schedule.
Oh,
But right now we ain't got time for all that.
ain't got no time.
Ain't got time for all that.
We got any housekeeping stuff? You got anything that we need to correct?
I mean, the normal deal. I think last time everything went smooth. I didn't have to go back and correct anything that I made a boo boo on stuff. So I think we're good. Other than just you got to shout out our sponsors
Yep.
and talk about our language.
Once again, warning, this show is explicit. It is not safe for work or loudspeakers because we will occasionally slip. And I hope everybody caught the tiger roar I threw over Dustin's F bomb early on in
It
last
was
last
epic,
episode.
man. I laughed so much at that.
Tiffany's like, I totally heard him say the F bomb. I'm like, no, I was like, I spent like out of the
No,
25 minutes I edited, I spent like 20 trying to perfectly place
I
that.
went
So
and
like,
listened to the first of the podcast just because you told me that. I wanted to hear it. And I'm like, he wasn't even that far in. I done dropped one.
but did it sound? I mean, like everybody kind of
Yeah,
knew
it was
what you
just,
were saying, but it kind of,
yeah,
yeah, all right, yeah, that's what I came up with too. And Tiffany's
it's
like, no,
cool.
you knew he was saying that. I'm like, well, I didn't say you didn't know, but I tried to mask it some.
I wish I could put Tiger Roars in this whole conversation randomly.
Lauren's, I forgot to tell you. I know we were texting earlier today. Lauren's looking into a solution. She's like, that's great. She's like, you definitely need something so you can do it on air. She's like, editing it is just, yeah, it's going to take too long. So that's our goal. Dustin wants like sound effects so we can just, I don't even know, bebop, tiger roars, whatever to each other.
Yeah, I just want to do funny stuff, man. I just want to like randomly just do something just to stir it up. Yeah, just maybe when something cool gets said, a little bit of applause or something. And,
Dude, applause would be great. Yeah, we definitely have to do it.
yeah,
She's on it.
I have great ideas. I'm pretty quick about, like I guess you'd say like quick witty. I can do it quick. And I think I could maybe. I might
That's why
mess
you're
it
good at
up.
racing. Think
Maybe. I
quick.
don't know. I guess.
We don't have much time to think, so you're gonna think quick. Sponsors. We got some more sponsors. Thank you everyone for the support. I want to thank Penske Racing Shocks. We talked about the shock already, right?
We never really exactly said what we was gonna do, and we don't know
No,
yet.
yeah, but
Yeah.
we talked about it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Penske's got us a shock. We're gonna give away to some listeners. We don't know how yet, but we will. I got to thank MTC Engineering, Platinum General Services, Hard Times Parts and Service, Night Marketing Group, University of Wynn, and we got a new one on. I don't know how many of y'all know, but if you don't, you're gonna hear about it now. Kevin Manchester, cool dude, friend of ours from up north, a northerner.
Racer.
He's a racer. He's an awesome fabricator. Kevin messaged me and said, "Loving the podcast. I want to donate a free short neck service." And Kevin does phenomenal work. So his company, Manchester Mines, is donating a free short neck service. Did I say that right? For your frame?
Yeah. I mean, you can if you want to short neck your frame and you happen to win this, you can send your frame to him and he'll short neck it. And
Yeah. So we're not as that's kind of a big giveaway too.
yeah.
It's Kevin told me normally runs anywhere from 450 to $600. So depending on the model. So we're gonna figure out how to give that one away. But I mean,
We
guys, we
gotta
got
get the subs. Gotta get them. Like
oh yeah,
you
yeah.
added that to the website too now, right? Like a
I did.
subscription.
Yeah, and just to hit on that again, as Dustin said, the Patreon subscription stuff, we're trying to do that to get some overhead covered, and the sponsorship is a reward for it. So we're using all our sponsorship giveaway or sponsorship stuff as giveaways for those who subscribe. And honestly, I feel like we've got a pretty good amount of people doing it already. So just keep, if you're not sure about it, message us, let us know. As Dustin said, we put it on the website, if you want to subscribe there. Basically, to reiterate, you don't have to pay for this podcast right now, but you can be a patron. You can subscribe on our Red Hill Racing Podcast website, and that just helps with overhead. And anybody who subscribes or is a patron, you get entered in all our free giveaways.
I actually have a personal friend that was like, man, y'all need like a PayPal or a Cash App. He goes, I want to help, but I don't really care about signing up and registering and all that stuff for the Patreon deal. I just want to help. So we might have that eventually. Right now, we're just trying to ease into it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. And I mean, heck, we don't know. We might just make the show where you do have to subscribe.
Let's give Joe Deck a shout out.
Dude, Joe Deck.
He hooked us straight up. He threw us some money because he liked the show. We appreciate that, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. And honestly, I want to shout out everybody who's a patron, but I don't know if I told you like how it comes through on the back end's weird. It's kind of just like these gobbled up. I don't know. It's almost like, I guess the patron thing makes its own screen names or something. I got emails. So
yeah.
Anyways, if you want to get shouted out on the show, and especially if you're a subscriber or patron, just let us know, because we're thankful for everyone who has subscribed. Some of the names I've made out for sure. I know who they are, but I don't know who some of them are. So we appreciate.
I know Joe. He just hit my PayPal. Yeah. I'm like, whoa! I don't even know what to do with this. So he's just chilling.
Cost of doing business, cost of the overhead. So thank you for everybody who's supporting us so far, dude. We I checked it this morning or this afternoon. We got over 700 downloads already, and when this post or launches tomorrow, this episode will be right at a week. So in 6 days, dude, 700 downloads.
That's pretty crazy, man. Like
got it. Go ahead.
That's like the whole group of motorcycle drag racers. Like the standard group, you know what I mean? Like the ones that go to XDA. You know what I mean? You get 700 entries, so that's pretty cool.
Either that or we got like 50 people listen to it 50 times or 100 times, whatever it is.
I might have listened to it more than once. I don't know. Because sometimes it just rolled over in the Spotify thing. I'm like, oh shit, there's me.
Oh man, yeah. Hey, we got to watch out for them, Kirsten. You just want another tiger roar.
That was a poo poo. It'll be okay.
Poo poo. One last thing, and then we'll get into what we're going to talk about tonight. Tell them you got shirts on the way.
Yeah, so they got my address today to ship the shirts. So the 5 self-designed T-shirts, not the DLR hard time shirts, but the 5 self-designed. You got the FAFO, as I call it, Hillbilly, Sportsman Army, the girl shirt, I call it, and the other one is When the Throttle Drops. Those are on the way to me. So all the orders that I've already got, those will be shipping first of next week. And if you have not ordered, if you order before February 11th, somebody is winning something really cool for free. I'm not even going to say what it is yet. I already know what it is. I'm waiting to see what all happens. Hopefully everybody plays because it's a pretty cool prize. Everybody that is buying the shirts will use this. That's all I'm saying about it.
I don't even think you told me. Have you?
No, I have not told nobody.
Okay, yeah. So Dustin hasn't even told me. I will say this. I want to be excluded, and Dustin can confirm I did go online and buy shirts, so I want to be excluded from that giveaway, saying it on the podcast, so I can't win it. Also, we threw the shirts up on the Red Hill Racing Podcast store, so you can go directly to hardtimesparts.com or Red Hill Racing and get your DLR approved shirts.
Yep, I shared both links in a post today about it. So,
all right. I think housekeeping stuff is done. Let me close this.
Put the broom up. We done with that.
Close this.
See, right now it'd be a good time to have crickets.
I know. Yeah. Okay. So tell them, what are we going to talk about tonight?
Well, man, we've got a lot of feedback from a lot of people. And the 2 things that I've got the most feedback about was 1, not apologizing about what we've done in racing. And number 2 was
we are not sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. And number two was they want to hear about our racing stories. They want to hear, you know, some of the highlights that we personally like hold and cherish, like a win or a certain track that, it meant something to us. I've got a list. It was very, very, very difficult for me to kind of figure out. I mean, I know a lot of them stood out, but some of them to me was like a less of an achievement, but meant more because of the situation. So,
Right.
it's I've got a few, and I know you've got several. And the crazy part is a lot of it we was together. You know,
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So that's what we're gonna kind of tackle for the majority of the show. If we have energy or need more time, we feel like we got plenty of other stuff, and just keep bringing the feedback. We love the feedback. We want to talk about or discuss whatever you guys want to hear, you guys and girls. Gonna probably try and get an interview going here shortly. Maybe next one or two we'll attempt to do that because there's some stuff we got to figure out as far as that goes. But yeah, let's just get right in it. You want to kick it off with it doesn't have to be your top, but I mean, you want to kick it off with something and let us know why it's important to you, or
let's
where
start.
you want me to go.
Let's start simple. So
Okay.
for me, one of which everybody that races is going to have this one. Your first, you could call it big race win or national event win. Some people want to say regional event win. First series win. Everybody that races that's one that'll always stick out, right? I mean, it's your first one. And for years, I was broke, man. I'd go to Rockingham like once or twice a year. It's all I could afford. Race at the local track all the time. And
How
I'd
far was
go.
Rockingham for you?
I think it's like 5 hours. It ain't that big of a deal. And a lot of times I'd ride with Uncle Jerry. You know, Uncle Jerry would always say, "I'm going anyway. Come on." Even though I didn't have the money.
That's
And
right.
one time I sold a truck to go. And then I got my butt kicked and come home and I had no truck.
Are you serious?
Yeah, one
Sounds
time
like
I had like a '94 S10 that I bought just kind of like the truck, and everybody was going to. At the time, I think that was South Georgia for a man cup race, and I wanted to go, so I put the truck up for sale and sold it. Took that money, and it took me to the races and paid for fuel and all that stuff. And I got my butt kicked, and I come home and I didn't have no truck anymore. So, I mean, I had another vehicle that was like a
okay, all
spare.
right, clarify.
Yeah.
All right, good. Yeah, me, I'm like, damn, how did I not know that story?
So what I'll do is I'll go. I think I'll do this my first one, this one
Uh-huh.
here, and then you can do yours.
It
And
sounds
then
like we got a similar first experience
we
we want to
we
share.
really do we really do, man. So I went to Rockingham several times, and it was always, lose before you get like the $25 check. Like the little check. I'm like, man, I just want to get paid. Like I know I'm good enough to do this. But finally, we go to Rockingham, and my bike actually broke, and I had to jump on Jerry's ZX14 that I had never rode before. And man, I went street ET on that thing. So Rockingham, I guess you could say, popped my cherry. It was my first win. I love Rockingham, still do to this day. Um, Maybe partially because of that, or it's close to home, not too far away. But I jumped on his 14 and got my first ever win. Uh, kind of blew my own mind because I was on something I never rode, and I'm really not a ZX14 person, but it had a throttle and a clutch, and I made it work. Um, but for me, my very first win, not my number one memory, but my very first win is a highlight that I'll probably never forget. Like the day this old hillbilly gives up in life, that that memory will probably flash in front of my eyes. And a big point of it was my wife was with me. I wasn't by myself.
That was a good one. I was there. I
Yeah.
remember that.
Yep.
That was I think it's fair to say that at that point in time, I was I was probably better racing at the bigger events because like you said, you just hadn't
And you
busted
got to
through.
get that first one. Yeah. Once you get
Yeah.
that first one, boy, it opens you up. Like you realize then, we've said this before. This stuff is confidence. Like you got to have
Hmm.
confidence. You don't have to be a prick, and think you're better than everybody, but you got to have confidence in yourself. And and the only way to get it is to do it once. And once you do it once, I mean, it just changes you.
It's a
Like you
damn
don't,
waterfall.
yeah. I mean, you
Can
used to
be at
tell me,
least.
Yeah, you used to tell me that. You used to tell me to ride the wave. If I was on fire, hit every race I could because, right now your confidence level is high and that does make you race better.
While I still stand by that statement, I think I was predominantly telling you and myself so that we would keep racing when we were broke as shit. And we're like, well, we just won last week. I might as well go
So,
again.
one of my stories that I'll talk about later, and I was in a bad, like, financially, I shouldn't have been going racing, but it was just a passion that I had and something I loved. And um, I made it work.
Yeah.
I didn't really air it out. I didn't even show it, but I really shouldn't have been going. I didn't have credit cards or nothing. It was just, I call it my money was funny, and I shouldn't have been going and spending $750 on a racing trip. I should have kept my butt at home and worked, but sometimes it pays off. So what about yours? You want to talk about your first one?
Well, not yet, because I want to talk more about yours. Like you just kind of gave everybody like a little slither. I mean, I
Oh,
remember vividly just going racing with you and Jerry.
that was when we was the Tennessee Wrecking Crew.
That's right.
Remember
Yeah,
that?
because I still lived in Tennessee. Yeah.
Yeah,
I just remembered,
yeah.
and that's why I brought up what I said a minute ago, because I remember like if we were there, that damn like is again. Anyways, if we were at Bristol, you and Tamra could wax my ass. Like it was, I mean, she's a great racer. We said touched on that, but you're a great racer, obviously. I mean, sounds foregone conclusion now, but at the time, you were hard to beat. But when we went to the larger events, and as you mentioned, you weren't hitting many of them. I mean, I guess I probably wasn't either, but we would go with Jerry, and you just
The
struggled.
old saying was, "I
You
didn't
struggled.
travel. I didn't travel well."
Yeah. So I
That
just
was it.
remember, we all talked about it. I know we did. And I know
Yeah.
Jerry and I did. Like Dustin, when he wins one, it's gonna be bad for everybody. I remember that. And I just remember sitting in the stands that
And the
night.
bad part is y'all was some of the ones that beat me most of the time.
I mean, no,
I just
I don't
sucked it in
remember it
like a
back, but
sponge.
yeah. But I remember sitting in the stands that night and looking at Jerry and say, "This son of a gun is gonna win on your bike that he's never ridden." And like I'm still amazed. But anyways, that was a great first win.
I
I was
remember, yeah, it
proud to
was
be
like
there.
it was, man. I, I guess I'm a sissy because I get like teared up just talking about it. Because I'd come back to the trailer, and I'm on this weird 14 that I ain't even used to, and my wife's, she's a little emotional and she's all happy each round. And before I know it, I was in the finals. Now at that point, I'm like, you want to win, but man, this is like the first I've ever been. You know what I mean? So
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't care. Like I was already doing great, and I can't even remember what happened in the final. All I know is I won. And also that was in 2013. So that's a long time ago, 10 years ago. I can't
Yeah.
remember. Damn, that's been 10 years, dude.
Yeah.
Like, ah,
I mean, that just shows how long we've been racing together. I don't
yeah,
remember this, but I do remember you got a buy at one point, and I said, "Damn, he needed that." 'Cause I mean, you'd never ridden a damn bike.
yeah,
It had
yeah.
a stock
So
clutch in it, right?
yeah, I had a
Yeah.
bone stock, yeah,
Just so
a
y'all
stock,
know, it had a stock
yeah,
clutch in it. So
yeah,
Dustin jumped on a 14 he's never ridden with a stock clutch. It's
yeah.
possible.
Um, so my bike broke, let's say before first round, and then I got to buy like second round or something. Somehow it
Yeah.
worked out.
It
And
was like,
I guess on the dial in because first round something happened. I think I had to buy back or something. Anyway, I guessed on the dial in, or maybe I won. Yeah, I won first round because I got to buy. I had a good lot. I can't remember what happened. But anyway, I just guessed on the dial in. Didn't really know what it was going to run and went dead on. Like, no idea. Like, it was just luck, but it set the pace. I knew exactly where it was then. And that bike even I think had nitrous on it, but I never used it. I didn't even know what button it was. I
yeah, I
still
don't
don't
even
know what button.
remember.
Yeah, it might not
Um,
even had it for all I know.
I do remember, like you're saying, though, that it was something to that sort. Like you made it through a round and then got a buy, and we were like,
Yeah,
"Holy crap! Like that couldn't have happened better." Like now he
yeah,
can get a feel, a freebie, like you said,
yeah.
see what it's going to run, blah
Yeah,
blah.
because
So
I didn't know. I was guessing all day. I didn't get a time run on it, so I was just guessing.
yeah, and we probably
Hold
weren't quite
numbers.
advanced. I mean, we knew to hold some numbers, but probably not
Yeah,
that advanced. That
like I
was
know what I run this, so that's
yeah,
what I did, and I can't remember even who I raced in the final. I could probably go back. I'm sure Tim Maley has some archive somewhere
yeah.
that'll tell me. I don't even remember what happened. You know, all I know
You
is I
won.
won, and I come back, and that's actually the bike that I was riding. Our friend Dollar usually rides, and he had felt bad, and he was in the RV asleep, and he come out, and I'm like,
I remember.
yeah, I won on your bike, bro. Like, and Jerry's
That's
like, "Dollar
right.
don't feel good. You can ride this." I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna send it," and because I
Dude,
mean,
I totally forgot. Dollar was, and man, if y'all don't know Dollar, that's a whole
yeah,
episode. We love our boy. I don't know if
yeah,
he's listening or if he will,
yeah,
but if he is, shout out to Dollar.
yeah.
Man, I totally forgot that Dollar was laid up
He's
in
like, "You
there.
won
The
on my
heat was
bike."
whooping his ass or something. Yeah. And we woke him up. We're like, Dollar, you won't believe it. Dustin just
Yeah.
won. He's like, won what? We're like, the race. He's like, I thought his bike broke. We're like, he won on your bike, fool.
I mean, my uncle always told me in poker, all you got to have is a chip and a chair, right? So, I mean, I got on the chip, and then I had a chair, and here I went.
Yeah.
It worked. It was awesome.
Man.
I mean, it's very that one's special because it was my first, and plus I was with y'all. My wife was there. We didn't have a kid then or nothing, and it was just us. And
Hell
Harper
no,
was
that's 10
like a
years
year
ago.
away. Yeah. So
I wasn't even thinking about that.
well, old Tamara was thinking about it. Let me tell you.
All right, all right.
So another one, I'm trying not to go straight to the big one. Like I'm just trying to. So again, in 2013, you were involved in this one.
Oh man.
So my Busa was built for Street Fighter, and in 2013, it wasn't the Man Cup; it was the Drag Bike Nationals. The Man Cup had left
The
South
what?
Georgia. It was
That's
called the Drag Bike Nationals because Man Cup usually went to South Georgia, and I guess there was some heat there. And South
oh my
Georgia just had
goodness.
their own series.
Dude,
Remember?
no, wow.
Yeah.
Either I've
So
killed too many brain cells or we've just been doing this for too damn long. As soon as you said that, I totally it all came back. You're right.
the
There was like
trophy was
some
a motorcycle on
there
the
was
trophy.
yeah, no, I know exactly
Yeah.
what you're saying now. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some beef between Man Cup and the actual
The
track at the
Man
time.
Cup left South Georgia, and South Georgia was pissed.
Yeah, and they
And
just
they
threw
just
their
had their own
own big
race.
money race. There was like
Same
money
rules, same
everywhere.
everything. Yeah, it was like big money to win,
It
right?
was a big
And
debacle. I
being
forgot
you
about that.
raced, Jack Corpella was announcing, and I'll never forget it. I won by butt rub French fry.
A
being you
butt rub
raced,
French fry.
yeah, they had butt rub French fries in the concession stand, and they figured up the margin of victory, and they said it was about the length of a butt rub French fry.
Oh man, I
And
mean I remember that race. Did we? Is that the one we all traveled down together?
no, the one we
We were
traveled down
separate. That was
together.
different.
Yeah, the one we traveled down together. You rode my bike in Crazy Eights, remember?
I don't know. Like I said, I got a
Yeah,
terrible memory. I remember the one time we took my dad's gooseneck race car trailer and put like I don't know. It felt
that
like
was like
100 bikes in
2012.
there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay, okay.
That's when I had the
So
top gas bar bike and all that stuff.
okay. Oh yeah. Okay, I get that now. Yeah. So tell them, or I guess elaborate more on that. So
So
you beat me in Street Fighter
in the
final,
finals, like me and there's videos that I share on Facebook from time to time
and
of
we
it.
knew
Like,
what the hell was going to happen too
yeah, we
beforehand.
looked at each other the entire like we leave, and it was just
We were
I
both
don't.
capable of going too fast,
Well,
right?
let me point on something here. Yeah, so you were short shifting to run 950, and I was dead on 950, like on motor. That's what it run. So when we leave, my first thought was spray second. So I just bumped second gear, just boop, just a little. In the video, you see my headlight because back then it was on my pass button. It still is, but the headlight don't work. But anyway, the headlight goes on and comes on. So what I done, since we'll elaborate a little bit in it, is I set the pace for you.
Yeah.
And I already knew prior to this that you jacked your brakes up in another class, and you didn't have no.
Oh, that
You
was
didn't.
the.
Yeah, you didn't have back
I
brakes.
remember this now, dude. Screw you. Yeah,
they
that was messed up. I could curse
they
a lot
worked.
right now. I totally
They
that was insider info. That
yeah.
oh
So I
man,
mean, now me and you and Jerry were the last three, right? We all come down there together, and we were the last three, like
in
the
Street
last
Fighter or
three.
was it wrong? No, that was a
No, it
different
was
time.
me, you, and Jerry.
Yeah, that's right.
We
It
were the
was.
last three, and we split three ways in the semis, which is really rare for all of us. And Jerry convinced you to do it because he knew I was broke. So, because you normally would never do that. But
Yeah.
we split three ways in the semis. You beat Jerry. I had a bye to the final.
Okay.
And no, maybe I don't know what happened. Maybe I raced Jerry.
Do you have a better memory? I feel like maybe
Yeah,
you raced Jerry, to be honest. But
maybe I don't remember. But anyway, we come down there together to race, so we were the last three in the class, which is for your team or your friends. That's like epic, right? Like that's bad. You know what? But
yeah,
we we split everything. Me and you raced, and when I plugged second, and I knew that you would pace me. And
Got
we
me.
got down there and we got about, I don't know, 40, 50 foot from the finish line. And I just said, I got to go. And I dropped anchor, threw the parachute, sit up.
Knowing damn well I did not have a rear brake that was
Yeah.
functioning
Well, that's what I
properly.
was thinking when I done. I'm like, please don't grab front brakes because I
Yeah.
was afraid you grab fronts. So I was still like hoping you didn't like do that and wipe out and make a mess, but
Which
nothing
I've done
happened
before.
bad.
That's another story. But
Yeah. I mean, nothing happened. And
no, I just accepted that I got
yeah. I mean,
sent. I got
well,
dealt.
if you remember that same weekend, you won Crazy Eights and you had no brakes because they messed up and you were chicken winging to run the stripe, which is very rare for Ben Knight. Ben Knight does not chicken wing the throttle normally. I mean, he'll either
I'm not
roll
telling
out
all my
of it or,
secrets.
well, I mean, you rarely would hear Ben pumping the throttle at the finish line.
Yeah, that is
Ever.
true. At that
That's not your
time and
style.
at that point in time, I let people know how I was doing with the brake light.
Yeah,
Remember y'all
exactly.
used to
Yeah.
I just remember I come back to trailer,
It was Morse code. You was
we're
beep, beep,
like
beep, 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 beep,
you
beep,
and
beep.
whoever, Wes, Ron, be like, man, we knew you had it locked up. I'm like, how? And they're like, damn brake light was on an eighth mile. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
shit, I forgot about that. Yeah, you're probably
Yeah.
right then. Yep, I was riding the brake.
Yeah. So
We went
that was
to
your style, and you was chicken winging to win.
you
You won Crazy
copied it
Eights.
though. You copied it though. How many brake pads have you and I went through? I
Man,
would
a
go through
lot.
a set in this time frame,
I
probably
miss
what,
doing that. I
5
don't do
years.
that no more.
I know. I and that's
There's been
how
times when I
racing
used to do
changes.
that I'm wide open throttle and I'm scrubbing the brakes. Like
I did it all the time.
I know, but that's why we eat brakes up because you're wide up.
Well, that's what I was.
My poor motor's like, come on, Tubby. Like I don't need no more load on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that's what I was talking about. Like I would go through one set of rear brake pads every year racing, and then
Yep.
you kind of followed suit there shortly after. But no,
Yep.
that was a so yeah, I went crazy. So this is the weekend that I'm thinking of where we got a picture. Who all was there? You, me,
Me, you, Wes, Ron, John, and Jerry.
Pookie. And
Yep.
this is the weekend. Are we correct that this is where DRR formed?
Yep. Yep.
So some
Um,
of y'all may know that, or if you haven't, but for those who have heard our kind of group talk about DRR,
so
whatever,
you want
it's
me to tell a story on that real quick?
yeah, tell a story, but it started that weekend. I'm just trying to tee
Yeah,
it up,
so
I
John
guess.
Markham, he kind of was one that filled us in on what happened. For some reason, they called a class up, and we all just went up there, right? And in the lanes, there was like 5 bikes lined up in the right lane, so we all took the left together, and those guys all turned around in their face. They were like, you know, shit. And John was like, man, we're like death row. And it just stuck. Like we're like death row racing.
Well, that
And
and the trailers too,
we
right? Like
always
because
park
we're obviously
together.
parked
Yeah.
together, and
Yeah.
I saw it started there, and then John said, like, hey, they got to drive by death row getting there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And it just took off. I mean, we was the Tennessee Wrecking Crew, but our group had
That's right.
spread out so much. We have so many friends. Like
Yeah.
you kind of realistically, we're all one big team, right? But
Mm-hmm.
our
We
base
still have,
core is different.
yeah. And I then from there, Ronnie Ron had some sweet stickers, decals
Yep.
made up, and then we were DRR from there. So yeah, that was. I just remember. I mean, I know we share it sometimes, like I guess probably old Facebook memories. I remember the picture at the time, like I feel like
Tons of cash.
yeah, like
Like
we were paid in cash. What I don't even. I wish we knew exactly what all everybody won. Like so, us three went to the semi, or there's us three in Street Fighter. You said I won Crazy Eights.
yeah, I
Feel
think
like
maybe
Spooky won
Jerry.
Super
Oh, it
Comp
was
or
the night
something.
before. You know, the night before, John won like Pro ET, beat Jerry, and then
Didn't
no, I think
Dalton win something
yeah.
too?
So that was the deal. Um, John beat Jerry in Street ET, but then Jerry beat Dalton in Pro ET or something like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
we all like killed it. Like we done great. And
Wes
I
did
think
good. Ron did good.
Wes might have won Super Comp or something. And
I think we pretty much. I mean, I feel like we won every class that like
it was crazy.
somebody of the 6 or 7 of us entered. Like
There
I'm
was
pretty sure we won every class.
there was
And
so many stacks of money. Like I don't
oh,
even
we
remember
went
how much
to
money, but it was ridiculous.
well,
Is it
and this
Longhorns or
will.
Texas Roadhouse or
Oh, dude, it
something?
was long. I'm pretty sure it was Longhorn.
I
That was
think so
so good.
too. Yeah.
Uh, we'll get into it, I'm sure, later on. Like, obviously, not the most lucrative, but I feel like at the time, for probably most of us, like we all laid it out on our Longhorn table. Like I think we had like 8 or 10 grand between all of
There
us. It was a
had
lot
to
of
be
money.
at least
Yeah.
because I think Pro ET then paid like 5
I don't know. It was a lot of money.
or
So that was a good one.
2,500. Yep,
That was a good weekend.
that
DRR
was.
was formed. We all raced well together. We beat up on each other. It was fun times.
Yep, it sure was. Back then, I just had my little bracket bike, Old Faithful. Is all I had, man, and I run her in everything she'd go.
It's funny. I
Everything.
remember racing you in Street Fighter, but I don't even remember Crazy Eights. I feel like maybe I beat Ron in Crazy Eights or something.
Well, Crazy Eights, man, like it took me a minute. I think it was 2 years. The second year running Crazy Eight before I might have won a Crazy Eight, but I didn't get my first championship for like 2 years or something.
Yeah, I love that class. I miss it.
Me too. So to continue on, I guess one of some of my highlights. Um, you'll know this one. So the winter of 2014 for the season of 2015, I built the bike everybody knows as two tone. Um, I built that bike just to run 560. That was the only reason I built that motorcycle. And man, I dang near like dominated 560. I think the time it was IDBL, right? I think in
Probably
2015.
that sounds about right.
I didn't win them all, but I was always there in the later rounds, and I won several. And the highlight itself is I I focused and I spent all my time and money in buying another motorcycle and building it to exactly the way I wanted it. And I got the 560 championship. And that was a weird one because I went to the finals of IDBL at the time, just told myself I'm going to go and I'm going to win the race. And if I win the championship, great. I was behind in points. If I don't, I don't. And that's exactly what I did. I
I
went
remember
there
that.
and I won the race, but bless his heart, poor Fabian was announcing that I was one round shy of the championship. And
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got home like 2 days later and I pulled the points up and there was a miscalculation and the points hadn't even been posted yet, like the results. It was just a miscalculation. And I reached out to Fabian and I said, "Hey, is this right?" And then, Fabian was devastated because he made a mistake and it was a big deal. But it really wasn't that big of a deal, really. I mean, personally, but he was upset about it. And they finally corrected it. And I did win the championship my first season, trying to run the class just to have a competitive motorcycle. And Jason ended up giving me the championship, and which was cool because Michael Trowski was the other person, and he let them have the same rewards as being a champion because he was falsely told. And the bad thing is I think he went out in the semis and he thought he was already the champion and he red lighted or something by a very little bit. And anyway, long story short, um,
Anyways,
yeah, I built the bike to run 560, and that's a highlight for me as I come out there the first year and got it. And that bike don't even race 560 no more. Like it's just, I mean, it
moved
can.
on to bigger, faster things.
Yeah, I mean, it really runs it pretty much dead on motor most of the time, maybe a little too fast, but it does really well. If I needed it, I guess it could be a backup. Um, if you want me to continue, I shared this one on Facebook this morning. And 20,
Yeah, I don't want to talk about any of the shit I've done either.
well, you can later, I guess.
I'm just messing with you.
I mean,
Keep
I
it
didn't know.
rolling.
Yeah.
Keep it
So
rolling.
we'll just roll
I
through
like
mine.
reminiscing yours. I honestly feel like I remember more about your shit than I do my own. So like I remember specifically. That's what's wild is I remember you specifically saying I'm not going to worry about anything. Well, I'm just going to win the race, and if I win the race, then whatever happens, like is outside my control, right?
That's
And you
exactly
were
what I
right
did.
because if you won, you couldn't have done anything more.
On a cane. I had a bad knee. My daughter's first birthday. I jumped off a table to catch balloons that was blowing away and blowed. My knee still ain't right. And I was on a cane. And speaking of that, I was on a cane Friday night when I won the gamblers race, back when I could win gamblers races. Um, and I had the cane in my trophy, man, like it was leaning up against the bike. Everybody called me the penguin.
Yeah, you were like that was just goofy looking.
It was our anniversary weekend and everything. So my wife and kid come with me, and those wins were important. For me, I cherish the ones my wife and kids with me because I go to a lot of races by myself, and I seem to always do decent or well. And I feel like it's just me. You know what I mean? Like you guys, I sent Ben that gif earlier when I was waiting on him of the guy that's sitting in the field throwing grass in the air, just waiting. That's what I feel like. I just want to be with my family, and they're not always there. So the one in 2016, my wife and kid wasn't there, but it was a very risky, emotional one for me. So
Which one? What are you talking about?
a lot.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
Well,
I'd
hey,
never been to Galot.
you get going with the story. I'll be honest. I gotta go pee. Just gonna say it.
All right, so
So
I got it
carry
by the
on. I'll be
reins.
back
It's
in a
just
second.
it's just me and y'all. Ben's I go pee pee. All right. So anyway, in 2016, Glotz Motorsports Park announced that they were going to have this big $10,000 to win, 2 grand to runner up motorcycle bracket race. Of course, we're all fired up. I really didn't have the money to go, and I'm not the type to like ask for sponsorships from paying my entry fees. That's my responsibility. So anyway, I wing it, and we go up, and I'll tell a little bit extra about this story, not just about me, but we go up Friday night. We kind of test a little bit. Everything's hunky dory, and then they start. I think this was a it was a Friday night testing, then Saturday Sunday race is how
I'm
it
back.
was. It was the Galot a Friday night testing and then Saturday race, Sunday race, or was it Friday race, Saturday race?
What are we talking about?
The
Was it
Galot
at the
10K.
Galot 10K? Was it? You asked me if it was a 2 day race?
I mean, was we racing on Saturday and then Sunday, or was it Friday night and then Saturday? I think we tested on Friday, right?
Was it two 10Ks or one 10K?
Two 10Ks.
Okay, then I feel like it might have been. I think it was Friday, Saturday for some reason.
Yeah, maybe it was. Either way, it was a 2 day deal.
Mhm.
So a perk of the race for me that I personally enjoyed, even though it wasn't about myself, was the first night of racing, the first 10,000 to win, 2,000 to runner up race. I got beat early. And I will say this about this race. I'd never been to a race and hear so many double O lights and dead on packages to this day. Like the announcer, I just every time I heard anything over the PA, it was about a 12 pack or a 10 pack, or they were 001 and close it up 00 margin. Like he's a really good announcer as well. But I'll
I
never
feel like.
forget
Sorry.
I'll never forget that, like how it was. And you were one of them that was still racing. It was
Well, but at the time though, sorry, I am interrupt. I feel like that was probably the most money we had really had on the line, right? Like
ever.
really
Like we'd never
anywhere.
raced for 10 grand. At the time, it was like the biggest ever,
And
you
we're
know.
like they barely. I do remember they barely had the bike count and they made good on their word anyways. I mean, it was close, but they
They
were a
covered
couple
it, but they
short.
didn't make no money. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did not make money and they were a few short of what but they did a stand-up job because I've been on that side of things and they did the right thing to get us to come back and it was a phenomenal event. But yeah, sorry, carry on. So at the time that was like I mean, I
So
don't really remember racing for anything
no,
more than 2 or 3 grand at that time.
no, this was a big deal. Like it still is a big deal. $10,000
Yeah,
win's a big
yeah,
deal.
no shit. Mhm.
And anyway, I got beat early, and I was just enjoying watching my friends. And at this point, it was Ben was still in, Ron Arnold, Boo Brown, a few other people I know. Uh, they were all like Mike Velo, Richard Gasson was riding Mike Velo's bike.
That's
They were
right.
all still in. They were actually, I think Richard was double entered for a minute. Like he
Yeah,
was
he
double entered
was.
down to like a handful of motorcycles, and
Hmm.
they had a really. This is part of the deal. When we build motorcycles to drag race, to win, you got the riders got to do their job, but the motorcycle has to take the endurance of getting the crap run out of it when you're double entered. And I think they blowed a head gasket, right? Didn't it spew cooling out or
Yeah.
something?
Yep. Yep.
And then you were killing it. And actually, when you lost, you had a
Man,
great
that
light,
was
and then the shift
painful.
ran come
Dude.
loose. So Ben's bike didn't shift.
We were
He
at
had the
five
tree.
bikes, right? I think five.
Yeah, you
I was
had the
racing
tree.
Ron, right?
Yeah, yeah. You was on I think which is now your Pro Charge bike, right?
Yeah, so it was
No,
at the
no, no. Was
time.
that Purple Rain?
Well, it same thing. Yeah, it was my
Yeah.
blower bike. It was my fast bike at the time, and at the
Okay.
time
Okay.
it was set up that I just started running top gas with it. I think right because I think I was
Yeah.
dialed like 520s or something. something
Yeah.
pretty quick at the
Yeah.
time.
And it
Um,
didn't shift,
man, I
which was devastating.
freaking the
Now,
only the only actual little thing is that I lost to a good friend of mine, but man,
exactly.
I
That's about
was
what I was gonna say the
freaking,
same thing.
and we were running eighth. I don't know if you said this because I had to go pee, but we were running
Yeah.
eighth mile. So like, first off, I'm not the type of rider that could just react and like reach down or figure it out or foot shift it. So I was probably screwed no matter what. But it didn't help that we were only running eighth mile because there was nothing you could do at that point. I mean, what was it?
Yeah.
The top mount for the shifter, just like the bolt backed out or something, and
Yeah. Something on the shift
it
ram
fell
fell
out or
off.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it
Either the
just
pin on the bottom or the bolt up top, something come loose and
straight in the rev limiter.
cost you a race.
It
And
cost me a lot of
my
money.
daughter just now scared me again. She done it the last
Got
show,
you.
guys.
Gotcha.
God almighty.
Tell her I said hi.
Laughing at me. It ain't funny.
Tell her I said hi since she never
Uncle
talks to me at
Ben
the
said
racetrack.
hi. She said hi.
See, I knew she'd
good,
say it there.
good night, baby. Anyway, long story kind of getting down to the part where I had so much fun just sitting on the wall with Spencer. We were just letting y'all do your thing. You didn't need us. And we were just waiting and waiting for the next round, waiting for the next round. And I have live videos that saved in my Facebook just because I like going back and watching me video and my friends. And end up going down to, which in our mind is epic. It was Ben and Ron in the final, and which is teammates,
No,
you
no, it
know.
wasn't the final. It's when it was like
Yeah,
five.
Ben and Ron raced in the finals.
You talking about Boo and Ron?
I mean, oh yeah, I'm sorry. Boo and Ron.
Yeah.
Sorry. Boo and
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. You
sorry.
called Boo Ben. He's gonna
Yeah.
chew your ass out. He probably don't
Like
listen to this
it's
stuff,
three
so
letter
don't even worry
names and
about
they
it.
both begin with a B. So
Yeah, I was like, man, nah, Ron beat me in five, or I beat myself,
yeah. I
whatever.
see my daughter
Anyways,
got me so messed up,
yeah,
man. She got my head scrambled,
that's all
scared.
right. Boo ain't listening to us to ramble. You know
Yeah.
that.
But he knows these stories and he loves the videos that I took. But come down to being, Boo and Ron in the final. And we've all been hanging out, just chilling, having beverages, just enjoying watching our friends do great.
I was probably
And
double fist in beverage at that point. I
you
was
had,
still like on the
yeah,
verge of freaking
yeah,
tears.
yeah, you had I have a video where you walked up with beverages in both hands. You were, yes, exactly. Anyway, Boo
Still
and
hurts.
Ron, they raced in the final, and Boo won, but they were, typical teammate deal. They worked a deal, and a funny little quirk of this was that morning, me and Boo went to Waffle House and had breakfast. So the next morning, I wake up, and Boo go to the same Waffle House and sit in the same spot to have breakfast again.
Yeah, that's some bullshit because I definitely was included on that.
Well, you was probably
Oh yeah, I was
sleeping,
probably
Darnell.
hungover. Yeah, probably, yeah,
Yeah,
you're right. Fair
yeah,
enough. Fair
yeah.
enough.
Me and Boo were responsible. We went to bed. And we go up and get us some Waffle House, and we sit at the same exact booth and had the same exact waitress. And that day, I made the decision to ride my super comp bike, the 560 bike at the time, two tone instead of my bracket bike. And Wes had killed a bear in his little 1000, so I let him ride my bracket bike, and he raced it. So I just doubled my one, and then he raced my other one. Uh, Kind of like, trying to help my boy out and then just do what I think is best for me, because the prior day I raced the other one better. And somehow, and it was a blur. I remember one of the big things I remember is Jimmy Miller coming and pushing me back, squirrel, every round because he had done
Mm-hmm.
lost and he was pushing me. And he would, come get me and push
UPB.
me back. And we would, cool the bike off, get it ready, go right back up for the next, the second entry. And I carried two entries all the way to the semis, and I had to race. One of them was sitting on a bye, and the other one I had to race Mike Schultz. And this kind of bothers me a little bit, and it always will. Mike asked me to split. I mean, I'd have been an idiot to split when I'm sitting on a bye with one entry, and then the other one's got to race somebody. I said, look, man, I was like, if you beat me, we'll definitely split in the final, 100%. I said, but I can't do it right now. Like, it just ain't smart to do it right now. And he went red. So I had to break the beams the last two hits, the buy run and then the final, and I had to pick which motorcycle won. For me, I was financially distraught. I should not have been there. like to be responsible adult, but I'm not responsible. And I I just had won $12,000 because I won the winning money and the runner up money, and
You had to
and,
split with
and
that guy, split with yourself.
yeah, and in the video, that Chrissy took, the first thing I asked is, well, one of the first things I asked was, "Has anybody called my wife?" Because I knew what it was, like that's important. Like at the time, it was like we really, really needed that. And I mean, it's not smart to go gamble your money, guys. And I didn't really gamble. Like if I lost, I wasn't going to be homeless, but I just was pushing it. I was pushing my luck. And
It
but
wasn't
I
it wasn't smart because yeah, I mean, like you said, it's not like you were gonna go home or try to go home and there be no home or whatever, but
yeah, I mean, it was
it was
just like,
hurting your everyday life
yeah, my
to do
cushion.
that.
Like
Yeah.
I probably, if I got my butt kicked, I wouldn't have been at the steakhouse on Friday night the next week for sure. I'd have been eating some ramen noodles.
Well, I need
But
ramen today.
I know, I like those. But the cup of noodles used to be my lunch a lot when I was younger. But that whole deal to me was super important. The One of the biggest things about it was, so I had Squirrel, I had Spencer, I had you, I had Steven, I had your dad, I had everybody that meant
Boo,
something. Yeah,
Ron,
Boo, like all my
Wes apparently was
friends.
there tearing shit up.
I think Wes done bailed. He done went home
Oh wow.
at the time, but we were like the just to watch the video. And like even Chrissy, she apologized for not videoing me when Mike went red, but honestly, she videoed everybody else, and that's what I wanted to see. Like it was that. So I'm gonna say it like I don't get that much anymore. Like I don't get a crew behind me cheering when I win anymore. Like so to me, I mean, you guys are there when I get back to the trailer maybe, and they're like clapping, good job, but it ain't the same. And
No, it's not.
to see that video, it's just like every time I watch it, I get teared up for multiple reasons. My friends, the thought that we needed the money. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it helped me a lot.
Yeah.
And that one sticks out
So 12,000 total
huge.
because you raced yourself in the final, and Mike Schultz is who you raced in the semis, who is a damn good racer.
Yep. And that's one of the
Mike's always been great to me, and I'm pretty sure you too. Like always been real nice, and I mean, like there's that like again. I
yeah.
just remember with Mike, you kind of knew what you were getting, and I could tell you what he was going to run, especially like quarter mile. I mean, Mike's going to dial 901. At the time, whatever his
Back
bike
then,
set up,
yeah,
it's like you knew he was going to dial this, and he was probably going to be around
30 or
030
better.
or better.
Yep.
And it's like
Yep.
if you could get in on that, you could beat Mike, and if you
And I don't
couldn't
even know what my
do
lot
that,
was in the
then.
final.
But
I have
yeah, I
no
mean,
idea.
he's dang tough racer, and that going back to what you said, I get what you're saying about feeling bad, but I mean, I don't blame
Well,
you.
I
Hopefully,
also
hopefully Mike didn't harbor anything with that. I mean,
I
you
also
had a
feel
bye to the
bad.
final, and
So
you that so
after I broke the beams for the semis, I done like a little. I didn't want to go down the whole racetrack, so I asked the official if I could just turn. And I turned and come back up the other side of the track just to get out of the way. And Mike come up to me and was telling me good job, but there were so many people talking to me. I don't remember acknowledging him or saying anything. And I feel bad about that because everybody was just talking to me, and I was overwhelmed, and I'm a hillbilly. I couldn't take it all in. I was, the the wheels was smoking like I wasn't going anywhere. There was no traction, and I think about that a lot. Like I feel bad that I think I told him good race, and I think I reached out to him before I left, but he come to me and said good race and shook my hand, and I said yeah man, but I didn't like do anything extra. You know what I mean? But I was so overwhelmed with people. It's crazy that I have things that bother me about winning, but I just felt bad for doing that.
well, I mean, it is what it is. Maybe Michael listened to this, and I mean,
If
I don't feel
if
like he's
not,
harbored
if
anything over the
no,
years.
no,
That
no,
was
no, no,
years
no.
ago.
Me and Mike's cool. I mean,
Yeah,
that's just something personally that I feel like I could have done better at. But I was just so overwhelmed with everybody. I mean, the twins, that helps Ricky Gatson, they were there, and Spencer was on my shoulder talking to me in my ear, and there was just so much. I mean, Big Dave was asking about what I had to do next, and there was just so much happening. And
yeah, yeah. You
also, I was
shared
thinking
that
about my
video.
wife. Yeah, I mean, you can see it right in the video. You can see Schultz come up and everything, and that deep down inside, that bothers me that I didn't go extra. I mean, I should have got off my motorcycle and give the man a hug. Like he's a good person, and we have respect toward each other for sure. There's no hard feelings there. It's just something that I feel like I could have done better at. But it was just I was overwhelmed, man. Like,
Well, now you're telling our hundreds of listeners, so your
yeah,
burden is relieved.
yeah,
You
probably not.
posted Dustin posted a video of what he's kind of
Yeah,
referring to this
Hot
morning on
Rock Chrissy
Facebook.
made it for me, and she sent it to me like a week after or something. And like that video was saved in my Facebook. Like it's very
Had to
like
come up
just
with a way to like fuse these together with videos we got that we talk about. Maybe when
yeah,
I can put it on YouTube.
yeah, you can do that. I've seen a function on here that adds videos, but you got to
Yeah,
download like a sub app and a digital hookup.
we'll figure it out. But I watched that video. The reason I mentioned is because I watched it this morning when Dustin reposted, "Hey, we're gonna talk about some memorable race wins, whatever." He posted that video on Facebook, and I didn't realize
Yeah,
like because I was kind of working, but I was watching it too. I didn't have the sound on or anything though, and I was just watching like he was saying the pure emotions. But the whole time at first, I was like, "Where the hell was I at?" It's like I know I was there. I didn't realize the first like the start of the video was your buy run or maybe it was the buy run in the
it was
semis
the
that
semis and
I was
then the
like,
buy
where the hell
run.
was I at? I was like, I know I was up there, and then of course you come around for the finals, and there I
And your
was,
dad,
right up
like I
there.
was telling you before we started recording, like I specifically remember, like I can visualize it in my from my perspective. Like I was like, "This is crazy," and he was like, "No, it ain't. You did it." And he was like right in my face when he told me.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. Like he was patting me on the chest, and I mean,
Oh,
I
we
think
was
I
all
might have.
amped.
I'm pretty sure I was crying,
Yeah, we was all amped up.
and all I could think about was my old lady and my kid, man. Like it was, a big deal for me.
That's
And
awesome.
one of
That
the
was a
probably
good one.
first one of the probably first big races that anybody ever I know Galad they shared a post saying that I'd made history of their racing a person racing themselves in the final. I don't know of anybody prior to that ever doing it anywhere, you know. And of course that's my one of my favorite things to do. I like
Yeah,
doing
I
that.
mean, and I'm trying to think. I mean, I know some car people have done it. I can't really think of any.
And saying that, I don't call that like the Galot race like a series or a sanction. Like
Yeah,
it
well,
was
it's just
just a
at the
big
time it
money
was a
race.
huge, yeah, it was
Yeah.
still, like you said, it's still a lot of money, but it was at the time we hadn't seen anything like that. And that was just
Yeah.
epic. And
In
to have,
2016.
to have Boo and Ron go to the finals the night before, and then you run yourself in the five was
Our
crazy.
whole team, like DR, like I mean, even you got down to 5 or whatever. Like we done
Yeah.
outstanding in a whole. You know what I mean? As a whole group, and at this, I don't know, it just does something to me. I don't want to. I mean, of course, I want to win. I don't want to go to races and like it's only me. I want my boys to do well too. You know what I mean?
Well,
Even if we got a race show in the final and whatever, I just want us all to succeed, I guess. But it
it's more
means
fun.
more. Yeah, when you have fun with your like I told everybody, it was like, oh, I'll bet you love that day. And I'm like, really? I had more fun the night before when I was watching Ben and I mean Boo and Ron and you, everybody, all my friends racing because when I went to the final myself, it was just a lot of work. Like I was running laps, you know what I mean? Like it was wide open. I mean, never took my jacket off. Squirrel one time somebody was dumping their camper and there was water running across the road and we had to like try to go around it. And I was like, man, there's going to be poo water all over my motorcycle.
Nasty poo water.
I'll never forget like just them little things, man. And like, that was one of the first times that Squirrel was pit for me, like pushed me back or whatever. And man, I'm telling you what,
UPB,
man, like he is my pusher to win. If Squirrel's
ultimate
pushing
pit
me,
bitch.
yeah, if he's pushing me back in the later rounds of the race, I don't know what it is about it, but man, it works. Like we work good together. Like usually I do really well, like win or something, and
We're we're good at that though. We always jump in and help each other
we
win.
really
It's
are. I
just
mean, there's
like you
times I
said, there's
pushed
so much
you and you
fun.
pushed me, and
Yeah.
I mean, well, I mean, so in my personal opinion, we go racing to race, but man, I have more fun hanging out with my friends.
Oh yeah.
That's really what it's about, guys. Like, period. The racing is what we're doing while we're there, but all the memories of hanging out and laughing and cutting up, and then these stories that we get to tell you 7 years later, that's what it's about.
There's a
Like,
bunch
just
of stories we probably can't tell on here that I'd love to
oh
share.
yeah, we ain't got Darnell up in here, but if we did, I got some good ones. Let me tell you. But but that was one of the highlights for me. Do you want to talk about some of yours? I can
Oh, I
continue
mean, yeah,
later.
I can. Let's. I know that's not all you got. So yeah, I'll talk about some. Let's go to my first big race win. At this time, I had won some local races at our local bracket series. Kind of similar story as Dustin. This was probably, when did you win? You said 2013 or 2012?
Yeah, 2013. It
So
was
I
probably the same year, but just earlier.
think it was probably the year before.
So the end of 12.
Yeah, I think so because I this is what I remember. Same kind of setup. If you've been listening this long, you heard I went with Jerry Turner to Rockingham. It was a My Rock race. I don't or no, we would go to Rockingham with Jerry
A
when he would
lot.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at this particular time, it was the last My Rock race of the year. I remember it was November, and Jerry
I
couldn't
thought
go. Jerry couldn't go because he was
was going
packed
to.
up and ready to go to Pomona
Yeah.
to race for the NHRA World Championship, and I was gonna ride along with him. So I went down to Rockingham literally by myself. Didn't know anybody. Like I don't remember.
You still do this stuff now.
I still do what?
You still do this stuff now. You wander off to car races.
Oh well, yeah. Because yeah. I mean, you're right. Like I enjoy it. I like.
Yeah, yeah,
I
I
mean,
know.
it's kind of like what you said though. I love there. I go racing now
Oh,
because of my
I
friends and family. A
I
100%.
cannot I cannot race by myself. Like I've had anxiety almost attacks before when I went to a race and realized I didn't have anybody around me that I knew well. Like I freak out,
I
freak
don't
out.
say I want to do it a lot, but I don't know for whatever
I'm afraid that
reason.
if something happens, who's going to pick my
Yeah.
crap up? You know.
No,
All
I
right,
get
go.
that, but I don't know. Part of me, I kind of enjoy it sometimes, just not knowing
I cut
people.
you off now. That's my fault. I just had to.
You're just
Just
getting back at me. It's all
that
good.
makes me emotional.
So I was there by myself. Same deal, you know. I knew I was, or I would guess I was getting good at racing. I'd won some local races and stuff, but I hadn't had like a big win yet. So just street ET, just going rounds, and next thing you know, like it's one, it was cold as shit. I do remember that. It was really cold. Um, and it's getting late on Sunday, and I was still in, and I don't really remember anything specific except for I do remember making it to the finals and thinking, holy shit, I'm here. Like, am I going to pull this off? And I raced Ronnie Reese, and he was on this the yellow. I don't know what the paint scheme, but it was like an '07 Gixxer or something, or that range from '05 to '08 Gixxer. And
Knowing Ronnie, it was probably short, little short bike.
it wasn't very long because I want to say I spotted him.
Yeah,
And I think he treed me, and I don't know. Like, I didn't do anything spectacular, but I won. That's all that I don't
yeah.
really, that's as Boo would say, that's all that matters. So I turned the wind light on. Um, he introduced himself or whatever. I can't remember it was before or after, but he told me good race. I remember that, and I was ecstatic, but I didn't know anybody. So I,
Ronnie, good people. Ronnie's good people.
oh yeah, yeah. So like I remember him, he was super nice, and he was probably
Mm-hmm.
like this young punk kid just beat me or whatever. But I
Nah,
didn't know anybody, so like I was completely ecstatic and was beside myself. But one, it was late. I feel like it was 11:30 at night. I don't even know if I could call anybody and tell them I freaking won because it
yeah.
was so late at night. I got my winner's circle photo, and they always do them in front of the tower at the Rock, and I just remember it was just me with my bike, and
Fireballing back to Jerry's.
yeah, and I loaded everything up by myself. And I'm like, holy shit! And then at that
And
point, I think it's like midnight or 12:30, and I'm like, oh crap! Now I got to drive like, and I did. I drove
yeah,
back,
but
and
you were fired up, buddy. That drive wasn't no
oh,
problem.
I was, but like I said, I don't even know if I was able to tell anybody I'd won that night.
Yeah.
Like, luckily, I didn't have time to sleep, right?
And
Because like I drove back all night.
back then you drove a F-150 with a 6x12 trailer, right?
Yeah, that's
That's
it.
that was like that's how we all started. You know
Uh
what I
huh.
mean? That's
Hell,
so
I didn't even
cool.
have a trailer first year I raced because I've only raced at Bristol. I just rode my bike to the track. I did. Once we built it, I would. I've rode that song. You don't
From
remember, but
Jerry's house. From
well,
Jerry's
I
house.
had it at my house once we were done. But yeah, I would ride
Yeah.
it from my townhouse. Remember how close that was? So I'd
Yeah.
ride that sucker. I mean, which at the
Yeah.
time seemed ridiculous, because it was like a stretched out Buso with an air shifter. I don't know if I had nitrous on it then or not,
They had a
but
stock clutch for the longest time.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
You won
I would
bogging it.
ride it.
Burr, burr.
Yep. That was and then so I got home that morning and pulled in. I probably unloaded stuff and then took a shower and laid down on the couch and told Jerry to knock on the door when he was there, and he showed up and I jumped in his truck, and I was a miserable driving buddy for him for the whole first day. Like I'm pretty sure I fell asleep after I told him the story, and we woke up in Memphis, and that was our stop for the night. So
You brought your tickets with you, and you was going over each around with him.
really,
Yeah, he told me that.
oh, I
Said that
was
you
gonna
had
say
your
I didn't know that.
tickets.
I was
Yeah,
probably I couldn't. Yeah, I was ecstatic. I
fired
probably
up, son.
told him
Hell
that whole
yeah,
story and then passed out until we got to Memphis 8 hours later.
yeah.
So that was my first kind of breakthrough big win. I'd
And
wrote
then
down.
that's when BNI, you know what, win not come along.
I think that was a
Remember that
little later
shirt?
on. Yeah, that was a little later on.
Yeah,
I had to
but it
pick up
opened
some
up the
steam for
can of
that.
worms, though. You know what I
Yeah, because
mean?
like you said originally, it always that's.
Confidence.
I feel like it didn't take me. Well, like when we were talking earlier about you had been winning for years at that point, but you
At the
just
local
had.
track. Yeah,
Yeah, but still, I mean, like winning's
racing
winning.
cars.
Like
Yeah,
winning, yeah, you were winning hard stuff. I mean, you were tough to beat. As I said, at Bristol, it was damn
yeah.
hard to beat you. It's just you didn't have that confidence when you went out to bigger ones, and that's all. That's why we were talking. We all knew it. Like Dustin gets this monkey off his back, he's going to be pretty tough to handle. And
He was a heavy dude, man. I carried him for years. He's a
tell
heavy
me,
monkey.
tell me that didn't come true.
Yeah, I mean, it really did.
Damn
Like,
menace to the motorcycle drag racing
I
society
love it
started in
though.
Rockingham.
I love all these memories of the hardship and the good stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
It
Oh,
helps. It really helps you. I mean, hell, I might even start crying if I keep talking about it.
oh man.
Big old baby on the podcast.
Well, here I got another one. This one was big for me. I from that time, so that was 2012. I don't know. I wish I should have done more research. Remind me, I got to do more research when we get into stuff like this. Should have done more research, but I raced pretty well the next couple of years. Well, I guess probably since, but
You were on a
any
tear. You were
anyways,
tearing everybody up.
yeah, we started racing a lot more, venturing out and doing stuff. And at this point, 2012, so then I moved up to Ohio. That makes sense. So moved
Yep,
to Ohio. So then I started racing NHDRO.
tearing it up. Every time you went
Man, I was
racing,
doing
you
good.
won something. Yes,
Yeah, I
I
was
remember that.
really doing good. And the win that it's probably my most memorable, I'd have to say. But it doesn't matter whether rank it or not. Anyways, I was really doing good for I'd say probably 2 or 3 years. I don't think my dad would try and come and watch me race whenever he could. And at that point, I was out in Ohio and racing a lot in the Midwest, and he'd still drive. He'd drive 7, 8, 10 hours, whatever. If he could, if he didn't have too much going on with his work. And I just or if we ventured to Rockham or whatever, he'd try and show up. I could not win when he would show up. And it was weird because it's not like I was intentionally trying too hard. Like I don't ever during this time, because it got to the point where he said, "Well, I'm not going to come watch you race because you won't win." But it was comical because like I can confidently say it. I don't feel like he was adding any pressure because he wasn't. Like he was never doing anything that affected
Your
what I
dad
was
is
doing.
like awesome to have at the
Right? Yeah.
racetrack.
I mean,
Stays
he'd
out of
make
your
us
way. If you need
sandwiches.
something,
Yeah.
he'll help you. Like he made the best sandwiches. Period.
Yeah. So he was great to have because, as Dustin said, like if you needed help, he's pretty knowledgeable, at least general knowledge about stuff that may not
I remember
motorcycle
he cleaned
specific.
one time. He cleaned the carburetor on the scooter for us because it was
Yeah.
messed up.
Yeah. Because he was bored. So like he
Yeah.
would 100% stay out of our way unless we asked, and then he'd jump in and help anything, make
Anything you needed.
sandwiches,
Yes.
hook us up with, he'd buy us an entry fee or stuff, here and there and stuff like that. It's just awesome. And I loved it. I could not like win a race when he was there. And this went on for, I feel like it was 2 or 3 years. Maybe it wasn't that long, but it was a while. And anytime he wasn't there, boom, call him after the weekend, driving home. How much did you win? What'd you win? It's, well, I run it up in this class. You run it up. Well, that's still a good weekend. Well, no, I won this other class. Well, that's a hell, just
Yeah.
like would be on a tear. So this one, that was the long-winded version. Dad drove out to Indianapolis Raceway Park, and I don't know that he'd ever been there. I feel like that was maybe he'd never been there. I'm trying to get it all right, but I mean, my dad's been racing his whole life. That's how I got into it. And like I said, we're big car fans, big NHRA fans. So to him, and honestly to me, like Indy's the pinnacle, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like you're racing
One
at the US National or where they have the US Nationals.
it's a legendary racetrack. It'll always be, no matter what happens in our world, that will always be a staple for sure.
Yeah. So no, we weren't racing NHRA, the big go, but we were at Indy racing. It was an NHRO event. And I don't remember the specifics, but it was getting down Sunday afternoon, and I was still in two classes. I was in super comp, and I don't even actually remember that. I think it was street ET. It was probably street ET. I was pretty decent at street ET then. Um, Down to those two, and I just clicking off rounds. And I was trying to, at that point, I was probably trying to keep it out of my head, like, don't screw this up. Dad's here. That might have been
Yeah.
the only time it was actually
Been
creeping in.
progressed for 2 years. It's like now you have to think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I do remember in the super comp final, I wish I remember which one came first. I feel like it was that super comp. I raced my buddy at the time, good friend of mine. Dude, this guy's amazing. I know Dustin will say the same thing. Like, this guy was one of the few people that just immediately friended me when I moved to Ohio and started racing. Like, I went to the local track there. I know I'm getting sidetracked, but he came up out of nowhere. Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Blah blah. You can pit with the us. Like, I didn't know anybody.
Who was this?
Bradley Shellhouse
Oh yeah.
and the
Yeah, I remember
whole
messaging him
Shellhouse
telling him
family.
take care of my boy. I said, take care of
Yeah,
my boy. He moved up there. And he goes,
and
we
we
got him.
we just hit it off, and I had to race Bradley in the super comp final, and I was on I guess my street bike at the time, Old Faithful, and he
And
was on
let's
a
just
bar
say
bike.
this back then, like not taking away from him now, but like he had a hot streak. And back then, Bradley was on a hot streak. Like
Right.
he was hard to beat.
I agree 100%. Like you said, like Bradley's still a phenomenal racer. His wife
Absolutely.
is, his sister is, his dad
Whole
is. Like,
family.
like
The
they
whole
have
family.
extended family. That's they're
Yeah.
all badasses.
They're
Don't mess around.
born racers from
And
the
you know what I
grit.
love about them? They're always having fun. They're always having fun. It seems
Family
like.
first,
Yeah.
for sure.
So I
Yes.
had to race Bradley. So it was a big win in my mind because here I am racing a friend of mine, who friended me when he didn't have to. My dad was there. So I mean, obviously I want to beat him and win for because my dad was there and see it. And I did. And I got I'm pretty sure we were dead even. We were both like 050, which wasn't spectacular, but wasn't bad. Pro tree, super comp. Went down through there and I won. Nothing crazy after that. And then I came back around and maybe I got this reversed. I might have did street T first, but I won street T. So it was just monumental because I got pictures and memories of my dad and me in the winner's circle holding two checks, won two
At
races
Indy.
that weekend at Indy.
Yes.
uh Ron was there. I know for sure Ron's in those photos. I'm not sure if Wes or anybody else was there. I know you were not. I don't think
No, I was not.
you
This
weren't
was
really quite
I
traveling yet.
couldn't afford it, man. I was
Yeah.
struggling.
So that one was just huge. Just and as Dustin said, it's like who's around and so I marked that off the list and I told Dad, hey, you can come to any race now because obviously you're not bad luck
You
charms.
know
So
what's crazy
that was
about that
cool.
is like we can go win 10 races and then, maybe even win more of money altogether at one race. But then the one that you had important people there at, it means so much more no matter what the money was. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. I mean,
It's crazy.
after the split there, I know I would have split with Bradley.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know
Let's
who
just
I
say
raced in
1,500
Street ET,
bucks
but yeah, I
total.
was
Who
gonna say
knows?
I
Yeah.
might have won 2 grand total between the two
Yeah.
races and whatever that
Yeah.
weekend. So like it wasn't.
But a highlight, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Just because
100%.
Pops was there. Yeah.
Yeah, we got photos. It was great. So that was a possibly probably my most memorable win just because of that. Like I said, I'd been struggling
And
when he was there.
not to like take away from maybe another story of yours, but wasn't long, much longer after that, you and Pops went all the way to PMRA together. Like,
Well,
I don't want to take
that's
that
his
might be
day for the
another
Banff. That involves Banff, and Dust and I could probably have a
whole episode.
24-hour episode of Banff and our sagas and that.
Yeah, I'm not even bringing
And got
Banff up in
heated.
my deal
But
today.
it got heated. We had some heated battles, but my dad drove from Virginia to meet me at the time I lived in Ohio. Meet me at Ohio, jumped in the truck with me, and we freaking drove to Oklahoma. And I think from Ohio, so he drove, let's call it 8 hours to me. I don't
I'm
really
I'm
remember
not talking
Dustin.
about going to a racetrack in y'all's like climate.
That's what I'm
Oklahoma
saying.
and
Like
from here is like a different whole climate. Like it's just different. You know what I mean?
yeah, like I think
Yeah.
from Ohio where we were, it was like 18 hours. So he 8 hours and eight. It was wild. I just remember at one point he woke up. He's like, "You need to slow down," and I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "How fast you doing?" I was like, "I'm doing 90." He's like, "You're gonna get a ticket," and I was like, "Dad, I don't know what's going on out here, but the speed limit's 85."
Yeah.
And he was
Different
like,
world,
"What?"
man. The
Yeah,
climate's
because we
different.
were in like BFE, Oklahoma. Nothing against Oklahoma people, but
It's just flat ground out there. You
so
know what I
yeah,
mean?
he was a trooper. We were big. He was a big supporter of Banff.
I don't know if any of our listeners know Tim. Man, he makes. I got to bring it up again. His sandwiches, like fat man love a Tim sandwich. He could bring me a plate with just some random ass tater chips on it and a sandwich, and man, it was like
Yeah.
primo. When it's hot summer day and he hands you a cold sandwich, tomato and
Oh yeah.
lettuce on it, you eat it and you're happy about it.
We
Period.
were, we were talking about that earlier. Like, yeah, a lot more of you all probably know my uncle, and you probably think he's my dad, but it's my uncle, my dad's brother. He's wild,
They
cooking at
both
all
can
the
throw down on
races.
food for sure.
Yeah, but we were talking about that earlier. Like, when it's hot in the summer, sometimes you just want a cold cut sandwich. You don't want anything hot, which I love it to death. But I eat
Being you
most
used to
Uncle
buy
Walt's
those
food later on in the day.
being used to buy them cold sandwiches from like stores and just bring them to the racetrack to eat for lunch. Like that's just if we eat, that's what we had. We didn't.
Yeah, we would go to Walmart and buy like the
Yeah,
cheapest, like, dude.
$5
Yeah, man,
sub.
we were racing out of our means. We would buy like a $6 sub that was like 2 foot
Hey,
long and eat on it for 3 freaking
Spencer,
days.
Spencer, when he was back bracket racing, kind of first started, he went to some race, and he sent me a picture, and he's like, all he had was Mountain Dew. That's it. No, no food. He won, and he sent me a picture of the money. He goes, "I'm almost out of Mountain Dew." I'm like, "Well, you got money to buy some food now, bro? You good?"
I mean, I
And it's
would literally go
crazy how
racing with a pack of sliced cheese and a pack of bologna and a loaf of bread and a bag of
done it.
chips, and that was it.
I've done it. I still do it sometimes because I'm like,
Yeah,
I ain't buying all this
honestly, when I
crap.
pack one for myself, that's all I bring.
This is I call it survival food.
Oh,
I
now I
will
bring
make
more
it home.
beer.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, I'll live.
That was a good
Oh,
one. Yeah, I'd also, we already talked about this. I had SGMP, the DRR race, or when we thought we formed DRR. That was a good weekend. All the people we were with winning semis, whatever it was, that Longhorn Steakhouse outing where we had just literally piles of cash on the table. That was a good weekend.
we have a thing where if you win, whoever wins the most buys their friends dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
Remember one time we left like it might have been IDBL or something, and we stopped and we eat Burger King because that's all it was open. I bought us Burger King. That's all we could get, but I bought it. Or was it
Yeah.
Five Guys or something? No, it was twice that we done that. One time it was Five Guys because that's when you almost crashed. Remember when you almost crashed in
I mean, that's
560?
a lot.
560, man, the wheelie, remember?
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I
Yeah,
couldn't even
yeah.
walk
And
right
you was
after that.
telling me
Yeah.
the story in Five Guys, and everybody was like looking
Oh,
at
yeah,
you like you
yeah.
was crazy.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like somebody videoed that and then we were laughing at that too. Yeah, that was a good time. Five Guys Waffle House. We've had plenty of I love Waffle House.
Oh yeah.
I'll go eat
People
Waffle
call
House
it
right now.
Awful House. Get out your mind.
Bullshit.
Yeah, that place is amazing, man. Like when
Look,
you come, there's no place better when you're coming home late from a race than Waffle House. Period. That's it.
first off, it's usually the only place we've had so many Waffle House dinners because it's a lot of times the only thing open. Second off, you're crazy as hell, and I don't want to be your friend if you just don't genuinely like Waffle House. It was funny.
I mean,
I'm getting tangent, dude. My cousin and I, we went for our family business. For y'all don't know, we have a communications family business. Anyhow, we went, Dustin, no shit, 2 3 weeks ago. We went, drove 3 hours to look at a job, right? And when we were there meeting with this new company that was like doing the walkthrough with us, it was just so weird. I guess they had stayed at hotels anyway. Somebody brought up Waffle House, and I just remember two of like the five people that were like, "Oh no, you don't want to go to Waffle House. That food's awful." And I was like, "Okay."
I'm
I didn't
not
say.
working for y'all.
Well, I didn't say anything because I was like, "Well, whatever, each his own." Well, we're driving back, and I looked at my cousin. I said, "You've eaten at Waffle House?" He said, "Oh yeah, I love Waffle House." I was like, "All right." I was just making sure because that was crazy. And as soon
Yeah.
as I said that, we passed time for Waffle House. He's like, "You hungry for lunch?" I'm like, "Let's go." So we ate Waffle House like 2 3 weeks ago. I hadn't had that forever. I loved it. Loved
I
every
mean,
minute
some
of it.
people don't even have Waffle Houses, and I'm sorry.
Dude, Waffle
Period.
Houses are everywhere. I read a study one time, and this is no shit. I'm not even making this up. Now, maybe the article is made up, but I don't think it was. it said that natural disasters, or how bad a natural disaster is, has been determined by if Waffle Houses stay open, because they're open 24/7,
Yeah.
365. They never close. So
Yeah.
they say that if a natural disaster is really bad, then the Waffle House is closed.
I know, like
Swear to you.
down here, like in the South, Waffle House has gravy now, and a lot of the ones up north don't have gravy. I mean, fat guy likes gravy, so I'm cool with
I
that.
like gravy too. Man, we got off
Sometimes you
on a
gotta be
tangent.
careful, man, because sometimes if you get like them hash browns scattered, smothered, covered, diced, chopped, and they get put that chili on it, sometimes that chili will run right through you the next day. I'm
Yeah, I
just
never get
saying.
the chili.
Yeah, I about quit
Smothered,
doing that.
covered, capped.
Give me the
Never
All
chili.
Star, baby. I'm ready to rock and roll. That's what I
Yeah.
like.
Man, now I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too. I'm always
Ah,
hungry.
damn. So we were just talking about that. How we got off track, I guess, a little bit. I don't even know what we were talking about. See, I'm not even drinking. Well, we talked about SGMP. That was just another one on my
Yeah.
list. You got any more? I got.
Oh, I've got three more.
Well, you got a. Oh, dang, really?
Yeah.
Well, tell me another one then. Tell the listeners another one.
Well, this is kind of like the Galot one. In 2017, um,
Dustin.
IDBL
Side note: Dustin's won a lot more shit than I have, so he has more stories.
2017 IDBL. Um, I raced myself in the finals of Pro ET, which was a push goal of mine. Back then, they let us double enter, and it was a push goal of mine because I done it at Galot, but I wanted to do it at a series. And somehow, some way, shout out to Joey Gladstone because he sat on a scooter and held my place in line for my second entry for me. So I would run down, come back, and I would pull my bike right where Joey was at, and then get in the spot to race my next entry. And it's a miracle in itself at XDA how they do, the ladders and all that stuff, or IDBL at the time, um, to even not even have to race yourself. Like that was one miracle.
Well,
And
right. So elaborate on that. It's not even just that. It's anywhere you go, it would be, I don't care how they do it. It doesn't matter whether it's pull up in the lanes, or
yeah,
card
so
draws or ladders
back,
or whatever. It is, if you don't, racing yourself in the final is hard from the aspect that you have to do it. Like you have to race good enough on two separate entries in the same class to race, but you also have to have a ton of luck because it just has to fall that way that you don't. How many times have you raced yourself like prior to a final with doubles?
oh, I do it. I mean, there's been times I've drawn out of a bag and pulled myself. I'm like,
Yeah, so
dang,
like
that's the
it's
worst.
there's that, like, again, damn it. But I just wanted to interject that there's so many times, like,
It's a miracle
yeah,
to not
it's
have to race
hard.
yourself. Yeah.
You not only are you have to be so good on that day on two different entries, but you have to have luck to even have it just fall that way. So sorry, carry
Yeah,
on with
but
the dominance.
anyway, he helped me out, hold my spot, and I would come up on my other bike and shoot in line, and I'd race whoever they said I had to race and go. And we got down to three, and I'll never forget this. Royce Miller come up to me, and he was talking to me and James Farmer, and then the other entry was me. We pulled cards for the buy, like they do, and my one entry got the buy. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, yes, this can happen. Like it opened the door up for exactly what every racer wants to do to happen. So that was one miracle, complete. And Royce said, now, for some reason, if he don't kick your butt right here, you're going to have to come back and race him again in the final. I said, okay. And all I remember, I had the video saved on Facebook that some random person videoed and somebody tagged me in on Facebook that was live when they done it. But I was double O on the tree and I was off on the gas to finish line and won. And I had to come back and just break. I had to pick which motorcycle wins, and I had to just break the beams. And Joey was there, and he helped me push the bike off the track afterwards. He was like, double O, I can't remember what it was, 005. I looked at him, I said, it was showtime, baby, because I knew it was like, if I was going to go for it, right then was the time. Like, if I lost, I still had my other entry to race him in the final. And if I won, then I won it all. And man, and I'll never forget it. Fabian was announcing, like, just like Galot last year, I raced myself in the final. It was just a big deal. And once
There's a
again, I had a friend with me. Joey's a great friend of mine, and it sticks in your head, because important people are around. And Joey was my dog back when he raced with DME and stuff. I've got
Yeah.
some really good videos of him. Um,
That was an impressive win. Like you said, it was
Several miracles had to happen that day. You know
yeah,
what I
it's just
mean?
it's so hard to race yourself in the finals just
Yeah.
because of the stars lining up. I mean, you
Yeah.
can be great, but just get unlucky and have to race yourself in the
And
semis
it's really
or
hard to
whatever.
do it on two different motorcycles. Like it's really difficult because I race both bikes differently. Like they're not exactly, you can't, they both leave at different RPMs. Um, there's so many different,
That
like
is a challenge. I guess I kind of missed that or forgot it.
they, they both had different ship points. Like there's just so much. And to be honest, I'm a rhythm racer, so double entries is good for me because I get in a rhythm and I don't overthink anything. I just go and I do better that way. But there was several miracles to make that whole deal happen. And that's just one I'll never forget because I'm one of the few that's ever done that. And I had people helping me. Like now, I mean, anybody would help me if I asked them. But I'll never forget Joey going, "Hey, you want me to just put my scooter and I'll just sit up here and chill in line?" I'm like, "Can you? Will you?" Like I
Yeah,
like
that was
because I mean
awesome.
he had his own thing going on. You know what I mean? And then of course, you know, back then
That
DME and
was
all of
cool.
us took silly pictures and we done like a silly. I think you were in it, had my helmet on backwards or something. We done like a little silly picture. And it was just good memories of my friends, man.
I think
Like
that was during a span where, like, if I want to get in a winner circle photo, it had to be somebody else's because I wasn't doing it.
yeah. Well, you know, there's sometimes when you want to win so bad that you hurt yourself.
Oh yeah.
And we've all done it. Like there's been times I want something so bad. That's why I'm a good rhythm racer because then I ain't got time to even think about wanting it. I just try to make it. I'm trying to survive. And it's almost like a marathon, you know,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes at these races when you're in four classes. I mean, that's another one of my subjects here in a little bit is man, like you're just trying not to die. Like I'm not in great shape. I'm heavy, but I'm in like good shape, but not like great. Like I can hold my own. I always tell everybody I'm like Rocky Balboa. I got like a heart, you know, a really strong heart, and I just don't give up. You've seen me about go before. My heart wasn't wanting to stop. My body was like, bruh. Remember at St. Louis when I was about to go night night in the pits?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was bad.
Yeah, you went and talked to Brian and said, "Hey, Dustin needs about 10 or 15, and y'all give me 10 or
Oh
15."
yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I rode down on their scooter because like you said, you weren't gonna
looked like a
stop.
ghost.
And
I
I
wouldn't
went
have
down
stopped.
there and I told him I remember that for sure because I said,
Yeah.
Brian, you need a break. I said because you're gonna have people dropping out and you're gonna have to stop the race anyways because of ambulance. I was like, Dustin's getting ready to faint back there.
I ain't gonna lie. I remember passes that I could be looking over at the other racer judging the finish line and see them like little white flashes, like where you're just overdone, like you're too
Yeah, that's
hot.
dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that I have seen those going down the racetrack, 100%.
Well, hey, I want to touch on this because you said something a minute ago describing that IDBL double win
Yeah,
or not double win. You know what I'm saying?
double entries.
Double entry in the final. You brought up something, and I just wanted to touch on it that it's a University of Win type moment because as we had mentioned before, we're going to be launching that soon. Our online membership school to teach anyone how to win. It's not about
Oh, I
teaching
know
you to
what you're
ride
going
a
to talk.
bike. It's
I know
not
where you're
about
going.
anything but teaching you how to bracket, race, and win at it. So what Dustin said is this: he was down to the final three. He pulled the bye, so one entry he was on the bye run, and he had to race his opponent. Did you say it was Farmer, James Farmer?
Yes. Yep.
Great guy,
Good.
by the way.
Good
Great
friend of
racer.
mine. Great
Yeah,
family.
that
Great
whole
family.
family is phenomenal. Love
Oh
them to
yeah.
death. So here's Dustin in this situation where he's got one entry in the final. Now the icing on the cake is 100% taking the other one there. Not having to divvy up any more money or whatever, and just having that accolade, that huge. I don't know if anybody's ever done it. But it's just a huge moment. So what did Dustin say? He said, "I knew it was that time that I had to take my shot." So he assessed his situation and he was 100% accurate. There was no better time to try and push the tree, and that's what Dustin did because if he went red, he was still in the final.
And I could come back and make a test hit on my other bike. So it was the exact time to make that call. You know, it was time to do it.
Because what did he have to lose there? He could have went red. And that was really the biggest risk at that time in that situation. He could have went red and the race is lost from the get go. And we'll cover that too. Like, no, you can't win if you turn it red. There's
I
lots of
want
ways you can win if you turn it green, even with a bad light, but you can never win after you turn it red.
to let me. I've just I thought of something that's funny. So the how I got 2 entries in Pro ET was Top Sportsman. So in the past IDBL, it's still like that now. You could have a Top Sportsman motorcycle and then buy a Pro
Right.
ET Street ET or a Pro ET Sunday tech card. So I lost in Top Sportsman. And the funny thing about it is of course I'm using nitrous to run Top Sportsman. When I fell over to Pro ET, the next round when I lost, I didn't know what to dial on motor, but I did it. And I specifically remember, I'm going to say, I raced Clay Davies. We all know Clay's bad. Like he's a bad dude, bad hombre, great racer. And I didn't know what to dial. I guessed. And I left. I had a great light and I put a wheel on him and I knew he wasn't going to get around me because I had plenty of horsepower. And I fendered him and run the whole run down through there and got the wind light. Come to find out, like 2 rounds later, I was holding 2/10. Didn't even know it. Just randomly holding 2/10.
Hey, when you got the advantage at the starting line, that's
I
all you
told
need.
myself, I'm like, I don't want to dial, but I'm going to smack the tree and just try to make it tight.
Right.
That's exactly what I did.
But
I knew
that's
that I
go
was
ahead.
spotting him, and I was on motor, and I knew I dialed it something I knew it would run, but I didn't really know what it would run on motor. And I also had nitrous if I needed, you know, and I didn't
Mm-hmm.
need it. I was off the gas at like 700-800 foot and just kind of cruising. And I couldn't figure out what it was going to run really. Got close to next round, but I was holding 2/10. After that round, I figured it out, and then the bike was awesome. I knew exactly what it was going to run.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, I just wanted to take that time because it was like really good. What you
Yeah,
said to me just stuck out because
it was
that's
time.
well, there in the point that I'm trying to make is that when we're gonna go over this stuff in the school and everything, there's it's a situational awareness and like when is when is it time to be aggressive and when is it time to not be aggressive? I tried to give that example. I don't know how it came across, but hopefully decent at
Yeah, one of
but the
one of my
example
rules.
last time that we talked about with my quote unquote winning a race with with mostly bad lights. I touched on a little bit there. There was, you know, 2 times that I knew I was racing a really tough opponent and I had to try and do something. So I tried to roll in a little deeper. So it's situational awareness, and really it's trying to figure out your odds. So Dustin figured that his odds of winning that round were much better if he held the tree advantage, which is true for pretty much any race. But that was the perfect time to push it even harder.
Well, I also knew Farmer was a bad dude, so I knew that I couldn't go up there and just try to be 40 or 30. And you don't never try to be that, like. But a lot of times our comfort zone is like 03 to 015. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, this is the time.
Well,
So I was.
you may remember, but like if you were and tell me if you did, but if you were averaging 030 lights before then, that's great. You're winning rounds, you're
Oh,
doing
I
good.
was.
But
I was for
so
sure.
okay, so
Yeah.
you're averaging like you just decide like, hey, the risk versus the reward here. And the
I
risk
it was
was to
it
lose or to have 2 entries in the final.
yeah, it was time to smash it. And I knew that I could, but I didn't know where it was going to put me. You know what I mean? Like I knew that I could hit the tree a little harder, but I didn't know for sure. But I also knew that I had a buy run sitting behind me on my other bike. So I wasn't scared for the fact that if I'm going to do it, right now is the time. Because if I get beat, guess what? I come back or in my buy run,
Yeah,
I'm dialed in for the finals on my
exactly.
other bike. And I mean, I don't never want to race scared, but there's times that you just got to, super duper man up and get with it.
Yeah.
It's time to be serious. And I can remember me holding my RPMs that pass and how focused I was. Like I don't know. Sometimes you just remember like little things, and it's weird that I remember the sound of my motor, like just the way everything was that pass. I was so dead concentrated on the tree, and when I threw the lever and it was green, I said, "We got it." I knew right then that I had done exactly what I needed to do, and then it was just race. And you can hear in the video if I could find it. On the big end, I'm kind of off the gas, on the gas, just trying to make it close. And I mean, there could have been games played or whatever in that scenario, but I knew I had the tree, and if I took the finish line by a margin, like real tight, it was going to be for me, and it was. And that whole deal, I mean, it's crazy how I can almost just remember everything about it now that I think about it, because
Yeah.
it was. There's times that when you're so concentrated, it's like a Mr. Miyagi moment, I guess you'd say. You know what I mean? Like everything's just honed in.
Well, yeah, and like I said, I just wanted to, it was just what you said resonated so well with me. I just wanted to share it with everybody else if they didn't catch it. There a lot of times there's a time or place, for
Exactly.
what you're going to do and execute. So, yeah, that was I remember that weekend was a great weekend for you. I don't know that I did anything worthwhile, but I was happy to be there in your winter circle photos. So,
I can
epic
barely
weekend.
remember the day myself, let alone what everybody
Yeah.
else done. But we always all do so well so often. Oh, it's just it gets easy to forget some of them, but there's
Yeah.
always those ones that stick out. You know
What
what I mean?
else? What else do you have on your deck that you want to
I
touch
got
on?
two more.
Two more. Wow. Okay.
That was 2017. We're going to fast forward to 2021. In HDRO trails. Weekend before, I was at uh, Montgomery, Alabama, racing SDBA, and my little bracket bike had decided that a head just was wore out and the head cracked. I actually went to the finals there in 560 on my little bracket bike, Old Faithful, with a head crack. Like I'd fire it up and it would white smoke and run like crap, and then it would burn the little bit of coolant or water that was in the chamber out, and then it would run fine. The longer it sit, the worse it got. And what I done was I come home. Now this is, um, I think it's Mother's Day time. Is that like in the springish? When is Mother's Day? Yeah, it was Mother's Day. It was like the typical NHRO Mother's Day week or weekend race. And so I come home, pulled my motorcycle apart, and had a spare head, threw the head on it, put it back together. Never run this. This head was actually a spare head for my top gas bike. It was not intended to be on the little bracket bike. So it's got stuff done to it to make it not have big compression for nitrous. And I, my wife cooked dinner for me on Mother's Day, which is the opposite of what she should have had to do. But I already paid them entry fees for the race, and they were expensive. They were like 500 entry fee or something, right? I think. And I was in box and no box, so that's $1,000. So I'd have been a fool not to try to, hustle and do what I had to do to get there. So saying that,
Well, plus there's a lot of money on the line, so
yeah, yeah. I mean, I just didn't want to just give it away. You know what I mean? I at least wanted to put up a fight. So I worked hard all week between working my job and then, in the evenings in the garage trying to get that thing back together. I get done and my wife said, I think you should go up to do that early test and tune, make sure the bike's going to be okay. So you know what bike you want to race in each class, because at the time, Old Faithful, I run that bike in box racing all the time. It was the only one that had a mount for a box or wired for a box. So it was the one I needed to race. So saying that, I get there and it took me like 3 or 4 laps just to get the air fuel happy, because it was way off with that head. And the bike went like a 905 off the trailer, which is really slow for that bike. And after I was done testing, it was picked up to like 880s, 890s. And anyway, the money race started, and
by the way,
there's
I
a couple.
started drinking.
Okay,
This
well,
moonshine's good.
all right, cool.
We got to live up to the redneck
Yeah, yeah.
and the
Um,
hillbilly moniker.
so Brian made a big deal out of this because this is one of the biggest payouts um, at the time that was out there. It was total of $36,000 um,
That's
between
still
box and no
probably the
box.
biggest one, right?
I think so. Because
I mean,
what was the one?
he did bigger ones himself, but I'm saying
Yeah, I mean, was the one before that he had, it was less money, right? It was like 30,000 or 25,000 or something. His
they kept getting bigger and bigger. They went up to what, 64? You might even touch on
Well,
that. I don't know.
that's what it is. It was a 64. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It was 64,000 total. It was 33,000. Actually, it was 32,000 per side, and then there was $1,000 for the race off of the winner of each side.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
So it's 64,000 is what its total was. So I was in box and no box, and he done a very good job of making us all feel important. We all had special shirts that he give us for being involved in it. Like it's probably still the biggest motorcycle payout ever, you know. And I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I had no idea what the motorcycle was apart and it's back together, and I'm worried about it, but it kind of seemed okay. So I said, all right, I'm gonna race this bike in both. I'm gonna race this bike in box and no box. Between the classes, I just take off my delay box and then take the mallet magnet lever off and put just a regular lever on it for no box. That way I just hold it and hold my RPMs, no two step or nothing, and just throw it. And I end up missing the tree or something and losing in box or no box. And I go back to my bike and I put everything together and I'm in no box. And man, I remember like it feels like I never had to like push it to win. Like I will say this, it's very rare for me to talk to my father when I'm racing. Like it's another whole story, but he was messaging me after every round and I was sending him pictures of my tickets. And I was 0-1 like every hit. Like I think there might have been one hit that I wasn't 0-1. And I knew that I was doing my job. And I never had to run the bike everything and had to win. Like I was always easing out of it. And I do think that things happen for a reason. Yes, I did my job as a racer, but I just think sometimes the good Lord just, you know, man, this guy worked his butt off all week and all this stuff. And I'd already told my wife, I was like, if I win this race, I'm not staying for the rest of the race. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm coming home to you. You sacrificed Mother's Day for me to work on this bike. If I win this race, I'm coming home. I'm not
I
staying.
remember that because I called bullshit on that. You told me the same thing. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
right. You'll because the race was Saturday, right? And then at the
Yeah.
time,
It was,
Brian was like doing the, kind of Sunday program,
yeah. Yeah.
qualify Saturday. Yeah, yeah. So I was like,
Yeah.
bullshit. You stay and race
Or
Sunday.
maybe it was Friday. Was it Friday?
Might have been.
Yeah.
It was either Friday or Saturday, but the
It was
time they were
Friday because
qualifying.
they were testing
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
the other stuff. So it was like Friday
Excuse
night.
me.
And I was like, I was talking to my dad between rounds. I'm seeing the tickets. He goes, man, keep O1s. If you're O1, you got it. You're like, you'll be fine. That's a good. I'm like, well, I'm not touching it. It was set for like 12. I think I was 12 to 17 pretty much the whole day. And I remember one round that stands out. I raced, which is a tough draw. I raced, man, what's his name? That
Is
has
it,
the
is it,
orange Z1R, the OKZ, the
oh, you're talking
brothers.
about Tom Clemmy?
Yes, that's as soon as you said it, it hit me. Tom Clemmy, I had to race him twice, which is rough. Like he was double entered in box, and I had to race him twice. I beat him once. There was the interview. He said he had a trash slide. I can't remember what his slide was, but I do know I was 0-1. And I won that one. And then actually, I had to race at, I think it was 6 bikes, or no, it was 8 bikes. I had to race, it was 8 or 4. Might have been 4. Yeah, it was 4. I had to race Dean. You know what I'm talking about from
Oh, yeah,
Florida.
yeah, yeah.
I
Mike's son.
raced him. I knew he was going to be a tough one, and I was 0-1, and I won that one. And then in the final, I had to race Tom again in the box. And when I raced Tom, it was almost like the good Lord turned my head around at the right time. But I turned around to look back because he was spotting me, and his bike like went to third and then went to neutral, then back to third, and I seen it. I knew right then that he wasn't going to get there. Like he wasn't going to, because I knew he didn't have nitrous. Another one of the awareness things that we talk about in the University of Win. I was aware of the situation, and of course it was he run way off his dial. I run way off my dial, but I won. And at that moment, I I, I worked so hard all week, and I turned off the track, and I'm like, I just now won. Like I won the box shootout. And I still had one more round to go. I had to go race the final runoff with the no box winner, who was Kevin Adams. And me and Kevin's been back and forth. Lord, how many?
Another great racer.
Yeah, another great racer.
Big time NHDRO racer.
Yeah, I mean, he's tough. Sometimes he pops in the XDA and does really well. He's
Mm-hmm.
a good racer. And I was kind of at the advantage, right? Because we had to race how we raced. He was not box racing, and I was. But I didn't even take that into a factor. I didn't touch nothing. It was still set for 012. That's my best light all day. That's what it was set for. And he went red, and I actually the video, if you watch, I almost let out of it, and then I just get back in it, and then I actually caught him somehow, and kind of just practiced the finish line. That's something I do sometimes. And I got back the trailer, and this is the part like I was excited, but back again, I was just thinking. I called my wife, and I told her I was like, "Look, I'm loading up, I'm coming home." She's like, "Are you really?" I'm like, "Yes." I'm like, "The only place I want to be right now is with you and Harper, my daughter. That's it. That's the only place I wanted to be." So we do all that stuff, and they didn't even take pictures, which is kind of a bummer. But it was dark and late. They paid everybody and all that stuff, and I remember sitting on my trailer door by myself and like excited that I'd won and a lot of stuff going through my head, but I was by myself. So so that win is like a highlight, but it's also not as exciting as my first win because the people, you know what I mean? Like I
Mhm.
had great friends come by, and say good job, and a few people, um, what's his name, Jeff Hall. He'd come
Mhm.
by and he was, hanging out with me and telling me good job. And I mean, they're great people that was, talking to me, and everybody come by and said good job and stuff. But
Oh, you didn't
it
have
would
your
have,
crew there.
yeah, it would have been way cooler if, everybody was there. That was the only downfall. But I
Yeah,
went
they were
home to it.
showering you in beer or whatever.
Man, I loaded everything up that night. I took a shower. Like the next morning, I got up. They want to take a picture, so I had to unload my bike and take a picture, and then load it back up. And I hit the road. I watched some of the videos and stuff on the way home. I stopped at Denny's and eat breakfast or lunch or whatever it was, and got home. And my wife and daughter, when they heard me pull up to the house, they run out and jumped in my arms, and that was exactly what I wanted right then. When you, of course, we split the money up, and I'll just say it. I left there with like 14 grand. That's a lot of money to me, and it was a
Should
big
be a
deal.
lot of money to most people.
Yeah, the check says 33,000, which it should have said 34 if you count me winning the runoff, but I didn't care. Like it, but
No,
you know,
33 would have been right.
well,
What'd you
no,
say
it
you
was
said?
it was 64,000 total, right? So, oh, that is right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
32
33.
plus
Yeah,
one. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
33
yeah.
is right.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Tiffany asked me the other day. She's like, did Dustin really win 30? I was like, it was probably split up, but I don't remember.
Yeah,
He
we
won so
split
much
at
shit.
four. We split at four, and um, I know that the winner got 10. Or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, the runner up got 10, and the winner got 12 or 13.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, I knew right then when I went to the finals of the box shootout that I was getting $10,000, which is huge. Like I was probably going to go home even then. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to sound like a jerk, but I wasn't going to stay there and beat myself to death in my motorcycles after the week I had to race for $1,000. Like in certain classes, 1,500. I just only place I wanted to be was at home. I just wanted to go home and be with my girls. And I actually made my wife an awesome dinner, paid her back for the Mother's Day deal, and that's what I did. And that
It's awesome.
it wasn't even a debatable thing for me. That's just what my heart wanted to do. That's what I did. But that's that story. I mean, that's a big one of my biggest is my biggest win on money wise.
I was gonna say, is that like the highest or the most money you've ever won? Was that one?
Yeah, but it's still not like the most
Right.
important one to me, which is that just shows that my heart ain't about money. It's about my wife and daughter.
Well, 14,000 versus 12,000 is a huge difference, and we were all there for the 12,000. So,
That one sticks out to me. And it also could be more that my lifestyles in those 4 years, you know what I mean?
yeah,
I
that's a
growed
lot of it for
some and
sure, for sure.
I moved up a little bit and like, in the 16 one, man, it just like, I mean,
It
I
hit
might,
different. It hit
I'm,
different.
my old man paid me $7 an hour. You know what I mean? So when you go to a race and you win 12 grand, you're like, man, I need another one of these. You know what I'm saying? But and you guys was there, and it was really
Yeah,
important
for
to me.
sure.
Yeah, but that's my one before my last one. What do you got? You got anything?
Well, I want to point out too, you mentioned racing Tom Clemmy twice, I think. Don't hold me to it, but he's a multi-time NHRA world champion. I want to say three times.
He's a bad dude. He's been doing this longer than I've been alive. Like this,
Yeah.
he's like
Oh
the
yeah.
he's like the northern version of Roy Hagedorn. You know what I mean? Like he's one of the guys.
Yeah, I
Like
mean, when
big
you're
name.
talking about like legendary racers, who would you say like Roy Hagedorn,
Konopacki, Colson's,
Konopacki,
Colson.
Colson's, Tom Clemmy? I mean, like that. There's a
What
group of
about?
those names that are just
I
woo.
know you know. I know you know this other one, Andy Bomback. That's a legend. That's a
Man,
legend.
I ain't heard that name in a while. Yeah, Andy used to be real
He's
tough.
a man, bad dude. When I was a kid, and his motorcycle was always just stickers and dirty, but he would crack you. My dad would get his butt whooped by him so much. Like, just great legend. And that's something else about that race. Those guys were in it. Roy was there. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, uh, Bruce Sauer, huge, huge name. And it's such a nice, I look up to him like it's almost like a president to me. You know what I mean? Like those guys are so important to our sport that I have so much respect. And Mark, him and his brother, when I was a kid, I remember them. They always had their red, white, and blue leathers, and their bikes was painted the
Oh
same.
yeah, yeah.
Just super duper nice guy. And I mean, Mark, sometimes randomly, which I'm not a big seller in old school parts, but he'll just buy parts from me. And I think he just always tells me he likes to help the little guy. And I'm just forever thankful of that stuff. And those guys are so nice to me, and I treat them with ultimate respect because they are living legends, and they were all racing. And that's something that I kind of wanted to happen, but it didn't happen. Is if it worked out right, I could have raced Mark in that shootout, like the one round that I raced
Yeah.
Turtle Cole, and I was excited about that because win, lose or draw, I was getting ready to go down the racetrack with a living legend. You know what I mean? And
Well,
I
then
mean,
you want to see how you size up too. I mean, like,
yeah, I mean, let's also say this: a living legend that we didn't push on because probably more or less he's our friend, John Markham. You know,
spooky.
he's a living legend. I mean, you can go on YouTube and find old AMA or Pro Star videos of Spooky riding the same old Cowie he's got now and winning races. Like just a
Oh no,
legend.
for sure. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you get think about our crew where,
Ron,
well, I guess,
Jerry.
well, yeah, I was gonna say, I guess it doesn't feel like it, but I guess we're the young guys. But yeah, Ron, Jerry, Boo. I mean,
Yeah.
I tried to ask Boo. I feel like not too long ago, like how many races you think he won, and he had no clue. He's like, I don't know, 100, 200. He's like, I have no clue. He's like, a lot.
Yeah. I don't know how many races I've won. I couldn't keep up with all that. I don't have the mental capacity for that, but
That's
um
a good problem to have. That's a
and I'm
good
not
problem to have.
organized enough to take notes of it either.
Yeah.
So
Well, right. Yeah. But like you said, just did I tell you about when I met Roy? Like, actually met him?
yeah, it was at a car race, right? Or something in Florida.
Yeah. So like that one, I don't know if it was that same year. The one year I was running Real Street, or trying to run Real Street, and I shot up to Indy to run the shootout, and I raced your bike. I think
Oh
one
yeah.
time, right?
Yep. Yep.
And I think like Roy was there. I'd probably been to a couple
That's
places
the
with
one that Roy won.
before.
He
Okay,
won
yeah,
that.
yeah, him and
Yeah.
Janie. Yep, yep.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so like I'd been to a couple places with Roy, and like I don't know. I just had never what I call officially meet him. Anyhow, long story short, I guess it was last year. So like last December, not this past Christmas, but over a year ago. Anyways, I was at a car race down at Bradenton with my buddy Brandon, and we're down there racing. And I pulled it. I got there before Brandon. Yeah, he flew in, so I brought his dragster and a bike down. And I remember I pulled in as soon as I had like a bike out or whatever. Guy pulls up on a little pit bike, and he says, "Man, it's good to see another bike racer. There's only a few out here." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm Roy Hagedorn. Nice to meet you." And I said, "I know exactly who you are." I said, "I'm Ben Knight. It's a pleasure to meet you." And he smiled and said, "I know who you are too." And like to me, like, there I am saying like, I'm not even drinking
yeah, but man,
hardly, but
it's just cool,
it
man.
was it was so cool because, I mean, why does Roy know me? Why does he know you? I guess hopefully it's
Social
just,
media, I guess,
yeah, well, I'm just
probably.
saying, I guess it's probably we just don't look
Well,
at
I
it like
know.
that.
Well, on the Roy knowing me thing is I have several videos from like early 2000s of my dad racing the HRA bracket finals and Roy and Candy and all of them was there. And
Yeah.
Roy, I mean, they would, Actually, I remember one time Roy helping my dad on his clutch at a bracket finals. I've known him since I was a kid, and
Well,
he that's I guess that's why he's up on a staple. For me is he's
well, they're good. Him,
yeah,
his
they're
wife
good, and
Candy. I mean,
I
I
mean
remember how many times. Go
he's been
ahead.
riding the same motorcycle forever, dude. Like I mean, the wheel changed. That's it. You
Well,
know what I mean?
Jerry goes to the division finals every year. It
Yep.
seems like I don't
Yep.
know if he's missing, but I mean, it seems like
Yep.
he goes every year. And it's like every time it's Roy or Candy or there's
Jerry. Yep.
so anyways, but that was just like so cool. It was such a cool moment. I mean, I guess it's fitting because we're talking about cool moments, but I smiled and laughed because here I was just it's like I know exactly who you are. And then I introduced myself. He said, I know you too. And like I was like humbled, I guess. If
That's when you say I'm just old redneck.
I'm just a redneck from Virginia,
Yeah.
the western side of Virginia. Yes, that was
Yeah.
cool. I mean, it
Yeah.
makes sense. Like they, I'm sure they're on drag bike or whatever, and they know they've been to the races. So yeah, it's just cool to see that because, like you said, people we look up to. Man, I got one more kind of recent. I feel like we might have touched it a little bit on one of the episodes so far. On my list, man, last year I had that weekend at VMP. Like I said, I think we touched on it. Finally got the blower bike running like real good, was getting more comfortable with it, I guess. I was on that heater in the gamblers race. So Friday night at VMP, this was the second to last XDA race. Uh had won two gambler races in a row, clicking it off, just going round by round Friday night at VMP. And here we are, make it down to the final, and it's me and my boy Boo Brown. So we
I
go,
just love it when my boys are in the final of a gambler's
oh
race.
yeah, yeah, and we were, it was just awesome. It's such a good feeling to race one of your good friends in the final because
We got
there's
to do it twice this weekend.
yeah, exactly. But it's such a good feeling, especially I guess I feel like I want definitely like where we're at. Like maybe
Yeah.
early on, like it's like shit, we got race like
Well, it's
like
almost
damn,
like you want
like
to
they're
beat your
tough.
friend because you want to win, but it's like you don't matter what happens,
Right, but I
we
feel like
win.
early on it's all about perspective, right? So like early on when you talked about that SGMP when DRR was formed,
Yep. Yep.
I wasn't like I wasn't mad that you beat me, but I wanted to win.
Of course, we're competitive like
So
that.
now as the years have gone by, I don't want you've said it plenty of times. It's not that we don't want to win anymore. Trust us, we want to win when we throw a helmet on. But there's certain milestones, goals, and just other things that we are
You already
just as
won.
excited about.
You
So
already
yeah,
won.
we'd won. So I'm in the final with Boo, and man, I don't think I hit the tree great. It was no, it was decent. I remember it was 40.
I
It
remember
was
this now.
40 or something, and Boo was like 008 or
Yeah, I
something.
know
So
exactly what's.
I was beat. Like, or I'm
Yeah.
not saying I was beat. I was at a disadvantage. I gave
Yeah.
up 300s on the hit. So that's not great,
I
but
was
that's
standing on the starting line like I
not
always
something you
am.
can't overcome. I mean, to be honest though, that's not something you can't overcome.
Oh no no no
300s.
no no
That's
no no
not
no.
like
Well,
that's not a
obviously you can.
nail in the coffin. Well, I'll get there, but that's not nail in the coffin type bad, right? Like
No 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 no
nail
no.
in the coffin type bad is
No,
like
there's still a
booze
chance.
double o seven and I'm 107, giving up
Yeah.
a tenth.
Yeah.
So we're going down through there, and I was on Spencer's bike, and Boo was on his top sportsman bike. So he was dialed like 80, 890, and I'm looking, looking, and he's coming. And probably at this point, I don't remember exactly, but I'm sure I had my thumb on the nitrous and was just getting ready. If I might have to spray Boo, and I'm going to send him and drop him on his head. And about 1,000 foot, when I'm thinking about pressing, it's just like he stopped coming. And like I did a double take. I just remembered if you could see me right now, I'm like shaking,
Yeah.
jerking my head. I'm like, what the hell? And then there's the finish line. So I rolled out. I could hear Boo yelling at me before our motorcycles had stopped at the end of the track. He was like, "Man, I had you. Your ass was done." Blah blah blah. And the funny thing about this is, earlier in the day, you were there, right? We were all
Y'all been
talking.
talking trash to each other all
No,
day.
it was Jimmy. Yeah, me and the squirrel were talking about something, and Boo walked by, and he was like, "Man, y'all always coming up with some shit." And we're like, well, no, I mean, you got to do this and that. He's like, nah. He's like, there's only one thing that matters. It's the damn win light. That's all that matters. It don't matter what you did. I was like, all right, yeah. So this comes full circle. He's in the
Oh
shutdown.
yeah.
He's, I raped you on the tree. This and that. He's going off. And I'm like, boo, boo. Whose win light came on? Man, F you. This is bullshit. Just wait. Just wait. So we got a
So
ticket, and it was like 39 or 40 was my light. He was like 007. He was like, then he was amped up. He was, and I told you. And I was like, boo boo. I was like, man, I was like, look, you did not like wax me. It's not,
well,
I wasn't 100 and you was 00. I was like, I was still in that race.
typical story here. I'm on the
But his
starting line
bike didn't
watching.
shift. But his bike
Yeah.
didn't shift.
Yeah, he left, and I'm very familiar with GS motors and everything racing. And I'm watching. My boys are in the final together. I'm proud. I don't know if I videoed or not. Either way, I'm proud. Like whoever's win light comes on, didn't affect my life at all. I didn't. I mean, I wanted. They both were in the final. They both worked a split. It was great.
Weekend was
But
paid for at that point.
I heard
Friday
Boo's
Friday
bike
night.
like I heard Boo's bike go. He went into like fourth gear.
Yeah.
And then when it was going to fifth, I'm like, it's not going to shift. Like it was, the RPM was higher than it had been. And it was just screaming like he tried to push it through and he had to just get out of it. I think he might run an 11er actually.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
He was
shift.
yelling
I
at
mean,
me, which
you
I didn't
just
when he
had
told
that.
me.
We just talked about that story with you and Galot. Like you had a
Yeah.
pass where you knocked the tree down and the bike couldn't shift,
Yep.
and it got him. And you guys just like even that evening ranting and raving at each other
Oh
about it
man, we
all.
was going after it
And you just
for
kept telling him
two
whose win
hours.
light come
Yeah.
on.
It was
All it
just so
matters is
funny.
that
It
win
was
light.
yeah. It couldn't have been better. He said that earlier. So like at that point, our weekend's paid for. It's Friday night. If you can pay for your weekend on Friday night, you're off to a good start.
You ain't worried
So
about
that was
nothing.
that was my third gamblers race in a row. So I roll into Saturday for the bracket bash. Just I'm just confident. Was racing good that night. It's not like the race before where I gave the example terrible lights. Running through the bracket bash Saturday, round, round, round. I'm pretty sure I got down to 8, and I raced Michael Sweeney on one of his 14s. Damn good race. Feel like off the top of my head, we were both good, 20 or 30 on the tree, and I can't remember. I feel like I could have won it. I had an opportunity still in that specific matchup that I could have won. I don't remember. It was just tight race is all it was. That's what it came down to. Uh, Sweeney beat me. I think he went on to win it that night.
Yeah,
So
he
I was
did.
down to 8. So still not a bad day. Got some money for that. Then we go into Sunday, and I'm in Top Sportsman on my blower bike. Like I said, things are starting to come around. Just start clicking off rounds. Feeling pretty good on that. Trying to still figure out the tree on it some, but I guess the speed and the ET was just helping out. Had some hiccups there in the quarterfinals of Top Sportsman, I feel like. When I raced Harvey. Do you remember that? Like you were still racing.
I don't remember that.
I do. It was probably the quarterfinals or the semis, whatever it was in Top Sportsman. For those of y'all that don't know it, XDA, Pro ET on Saturday, you make your 2 time runs, and the quickest 32 bikes roll into what they call Top Sportsman, and you race for a separate purse, no additional entry fee. It's 2,000 to win. I think 500 runner up, but it's extra purse. And at any point that you lose in Top Sportsman, you just drop into the next round of Pro ET. And if you
Or win,
win,
or win. Yeah.
yeah, and if you win Pro ET, you drop into the next, or if you win Top Sportsman, you're automatically dropping into whatever round. It's 6th round, I think, of Pro ET.
Yep. Yep.
So, anyways, clicking through there, the one specific race with Harvey and Top Sportsman, my bike didn't shift into 6, which was kind of funny, especially given the Friday night circumstance. But I panicked and I got a override boost button because I'm not currently running, like I'm not maxed out on boost. And I panicked, not really thinking it through. And you got to remember, high rate of speed, I'm doing whatever 180, 190. I hit my scramble button instead of trying to hit the shifter button. Complete ass backwards. I mean, this was just a mistake.
Brain fart.
So what I think had happened was that I drifted a little bit and I might have been spinning a little bit, like starting to get out of the groove.
Yeah.
Instead of hitting the shifter to try and get it in the sixth gear, my brain fart, I hit the scramble button, so I just gave it more boost. So it didn't help it. So I went through blah blah blah, blah, just watching my chances slip away. Well, I ended up running dead on with a zero, the bike not shifting into high gear
Sometimes
in
Jesus
one.
has got to take the wheel. Sometimes.
Well, sometimes those mistakes, were worked out to be blessings, like you said.
Yep.
So that was a key moment. Race, beautiful Robin Procopio. We love Robin. She's awesome to race
Man.
with. That whole family's always been nice
Yeah.
to me.
Good people.
Ronnie, everybody. So raced her in the finals. Honestly, it was lackluster. I don't know what we were both waiting for. I don't know if we were waiting for somebody to tell us to go,
The
but we were
sun
both dead
wasn't it?
late.
The sun wasn't the sun.
I'll take any excuse. Yeah, it was the
Well,
sun kind of rise.
VMP now VMP is really bad in the evenings. The sun is like behind the tree, and dude, you can't see it. Like it's like a black wall.
Yeah.
And you have to like focus where you think the bulb might be, and then it kind of there it is. So you're going to be late every time.
Well, I'll take that as an excuse, but we were both late.
Yeah.
But I won, pulled it off. I'm super excited, and I'll say this too. And Dustin knows my rule. Well, anybody that raced with me for any length of time knows. I I'm proud to say I don't think I've ever brought up a split when it comes down to it, because I won't
Yeah.
ask anybody to split.
I mean, we always do.
I
It's natural for us, but yeah,
well,
like
yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I don't split. I'll never ask anybody to split.
yeah,
So that scenario went up, gave Robin a big old hug, said, "You need anything? You ready? What's going on?" She said, "Nope, I'm ready, honey, whenever you are," because I just come around. She was waiting on me. So there's my bike. I'll go jump on it. So we got after it. So there's no split final. So I won 2 grand on that run. And I'm dropping in the sixth round or seventh round of Pro ET. I think at that point, do you remember there was 6 left? I think. Yeah, that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
6 left. I come back in Pro ET. I'm pumped. Second race win of the weekend, down to 6 in Pro ET. Come around, uh, get paired up. I don't remember exactly his name. I got him in my head, but get paired up, and he was dialed a lot slower. Like compared to me, I'm dialed 760. I think he was dialed 930 or 940. Guy went red. Of course, I'm waiting there on the starting line, so I see it way before. So boom, I'm going down to 3. So I make that pass, or I don't really remember. I did come back around. Well, I'll be darned if I didn't get the bye. I was pumped.
Yeah, I can't
And
remember
who
who I had to race.
and well, I remember who was left. It comes around, and it's you
Oh, it was
and
Kip.
yeah, you and Kip. So we're
Yeah,
down to 3.
yeah, I remember that.
And I remember
Yeah,
you yelled at me or something. I don't know if Kip brought it up or if you or
yeah, he brought up a
no,
split.
Big
I said,
Dave. Maybe Big Dave did.
yeah, I said, man, I was like, Ben ain't gonna split sitting on the bye,
I'm
guys.
off
Like,
over there in my la la land, and Dustin. So I walk over and I'm like, "What's up?" And it was funny because you said, "What'd you tell me?" You said, "Well, they brought up a split, and I already told him it'd be crazy for you to split with a bye." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I'm sorry. I like y'all, but
I was one of them.
I was like, I can't split right now. Y'all
I
can
think
figure
I
something
think
out."
me and Kip did a deal where we kicked some back or something.
Yeah.
I done something for him on my end. I can't remember.
So nothing against Kip. I love Kip. Great guy, great racer. But
Yes, the
y'all know
legend
who
kind
I
of.
y'all know who I was rooting for. So I watched them run, and Dustin wins. So I'm pumped.
I have no idea what happened. I can't remember the race.
I know I was fist pumping. I was getting pushed to the water box, and I was fist pumping. I know that, and I hope, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen it. I was wishing somebody would get that on film. Talking
Yeah,
about back in the day, people behind
yeah,
you. Dude, I was fist bumping you on my bike.
yeah, yeah. I
Um,
like that. Cool.
I just backed off and waited for you. And I wish it was a knockdown drag out. Dust and I had been talking. We hadn't raced each other in a long time. Not at least not for anything
It was
meaningful.
about to be one. It was about to
It was
be.
gonna be epic because I was
I
on a
can't remember
blower
what kind of
bike
light I
dial
had.
760. You were dialed what 780, high
Yeah,
70s.
yeah.
You had a good light. I turned it red.
Only
I
thing
don't
I remember about that pass is when the bike left and the nitrous come in, it packed the tire really far. And I'm like, oh, we're going too far. I done knew right then that it was just the motor was heat soaked just the right amount and it locked it. I remember that. And then I looked up and I seen my wind light on. I'm like, crap, he red lighted and I just rolled out.
yeah. Yeah, and then I rolled out too. And just to kind of a we've been talking a lot about the situational awareness. I mean, I had zero pressure at that point. You know, I'd
Oh, we
done
won.
racked up a bunch of money, been in two finals with friends. But I mean, I just won two races. Like, yeah, I wanted to win, but in
That's
the
another
end,
one
it
of them
didn't
weekends
matter.
when the drive home is easier.
Yeah, but
You
just
leaving your souls happy. You know what I mean?
yeah, I'm just trying to describe why I went red. And to be honest, that scenario, I have no clue. I mean, I'm sure I wanted to have a good light to have a chance
Yeah.
against Dustin, but I don't know. I just went red. I
And
mean, part of it, I just don't think I was comfortable on that bike
it's
because
very
I put a full
hard to
slider in it. And so coming off the button, I'm just not comfortable on buttons yet.
very
Obviously,
hard
change.
to use a button on bottom bulb. Like
Yeah.
it's very hard to do. It's so sensitive. Like there's no like you can buy several kinds of buttons or whatever, adjustable ones and this
No,
and
I
that, but
try
it's
them all.
still
You know
hard.
that.
Yeah, I mean it's just hard to do.
Yeah.
And
So I
but it was a really good weekend. I mean, I enjoyed it, and I only done good one class, which is still great. But it's like those weekends like that when you get in the final with a friend, it just does something to you. Like you just everything, it's pure joy. Even if I lost that round, I had the same feeling. You know, I didn't
yeah.
even care.
For me, it was a combination of why that one was important. One, it I felt like it was some of the best like weekend of racing I'd put together in a while. Like we've been talking about our past all night. Tonight
I
that's the
th-
topic. And we talked about some early, NHGRO probably in 2014, 15. I mean, I would go on tears and just felt
yeah,
literally unbeatable, but I just hadn't felt like that in a while. So that's why the last year that was important for me. Of course, I had lots of family and friends with me, and then honestly, we were talking, Dustin. I think that might be the most money I'd won in a weekend. I think I won like 6,500 that weekend,
it's a good
7,000.
weekend.
Yeah, it was a nice weekend. So that's kind of the last one I had. I mean, there's other ones we've talked. I've had some really good weekends at Bikes in the Valley. And I don't want to get into that. I know it's not your place,
Yeah,
but
I ain't never
that's
talking
another
about
story. But
that.
those guys know, and I want to get back up there again. I love
They're
Bikes in
good
the
people up
Valley.
there.
Shout
Good
out.
people.
I've
Yeah.
had they normally run three classes. I've almost won all three in the weekend. I think I
We're
won
kind of
two,
getting to
and
my last story. You're kind of tickling
yeah,
it.
I won two one weekend, and I think I got to the semis or down to three and anyways, I've had some really good weekends up there and really enjoy racing up there. But no, that's kind of what I'd scribbled down. So what you said, you got one more left?
Got one more left.
One more. Let's bring it home with your last story.
So this is a new one. I mean, it's like recent. It was this past season. SDBA, we went to Nashville and it rained it out. So we had to finish a lot of stuff. We went to the next race at Huntsville. And we normally do shootouts on Friday, but we were finishing the Nashville stuff on Friday instead of the shootouts, which I thought was an outstanding idea. I knew it was a lot of racing, but sometimes I look at that stuff and go, man, that's a lot of racing. I'm just tired, of just doing it so hard for so long. It gets exhausting. But anyway, that night I ended up winning um, top gas from the Nashville race, and I runnered up in I think Pro ET. And then so we already started off a weekend like you said before. Great, we got to win the runner up. Like this is cool. So then on Saturday, I'm in Street ET, Pro ET, Top Gas, and Super Comp for the actual Huntsville race. And somehow, some way, which is very hard to do, just for the fact that I got to get back up there for all these classes are kind of in sequence, and they're consistently behind each other. It seems like, but somehow, some way, I got to four finals. I went to all four finals in every class I race. Um, that's huge, right? I mean, I went to Hogs Gone Wild one time and I entered 560 and Pro ET and won both. But to be in that many classes, to find yourself in the final in that many classes is a big deal. Like that's pretty huge, and not just financially, just the achievement side of it. And I raced a buddy of mine, not even going to mention the name, in Pro ET, and I asked him about splitting. I'm that guy. Like I always ask, I try to make sure what they want to do before we race. And he says, "No, let's just run for it." All right. John come back there and he was like, "Did he just now say that?" I was like, Yeah, and I don't know what it is about me in Huntsville. Really like that racetrack. Like I don't know what it is. It's not even that. It's not like a super outstanding nice facility. It's just the way the tree is there. I'm really comfortable with that track.
I've only
Anyway,
been there. I've been to
in
Huntsville.
HDRO,
Yeah,
you went.
once. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really remember enough. I'm indifferent on it, but I do know that certain trees you hate and certain trees I love.
Yeah, I mean, well, normally the trees that's tight you like, and the trees that's loose I love, and you don't, and I think it's just because I'm really quick.
Yeah, I'm super slow.
So on delay box racing, that don't matter. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And anyway, I won Pro ET, and then I come back and I raced John in Street ET, and I won. I come back and I raced the Top Gas final against Ron. Man, what's his last name? Anyway, he runs in HRO some back in the past, and he's a great racer, killer Top Gas racer. He hangs around chasing them, um, and I won. I come back for the Super Comp final against a customer of mine. It was his birthday, and
Uh
I kicked it double O red.
oh.
Like,
Man.
but to leave, this is why it was important to me. My wife and daughter was there.
Yep.
And to stand in the winner circle with them, and we held 5 wins up. Like that's
In
pretty
one
cool.
weekend.
Yeah, that's
Damn.
pretty cool. You win 5 races, and to do that, to have 5 trophies, and the reason it was 5 is I actually forgot one of them. The Nashville race, I won the no box shootout. So, um, five
Ridiculous.
wins and then 2 runner ups in one weekend. Um, Good payday. Their payouts are good. And then my wife and little girl was there. So, we got to load up and we're in their motor home. And my daughter, she was actually asleep, but I woke her up and handed them to her. And she goes, "Oh my goodness." Because I had 5 of them
Yeah.
they give like license plates.
Daddy did work.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, she has a cardboard check that she has in her bedroom. It's mine. And it's like she uses it to guard the door to keep the dog out sometimes. And it's hers. He gets all the trophies. I randomly, and I went to room the other day. I'm like, "You got a stack?" Yeah, they're mine. I'm like, "Okay, they are yours." Like every race I go to, I just want to win baby girl a trophy.
Yep.
And that's why it was important to me is because they were there with me. Had a huge winner circle picture. Like, man, if anybody scrolls my Facebook, there's sometimes a winner circle picture. I mean, I had a winner circle picture with a $33,000 check from an HRO, and it was just me. So I'm always like, come in and get in the picture. I want, like,
Yeah.
if they're my friends, I want them there because the memories. And I got a lot of memories of me just at a race and maybe just me or one other person. And I love having like a full winner circle picture. And sometimes it's just hard for me to have it. Like sometimes my friends are busy still racing or they're loading up or
That's what I was
just
gonna
man.
say. Sometimes we didn't kind of didn't touch on that. Sometimes whenever the race falls, you don't have a chance, which I hate that. Is when
Yeah.
you're getting rushed to get a photo and you ain't got your whole crew there. So
Yeah. I mean, there's times you got to kind of rally everybody up and they're in the middle of loading something. They can't just stop, and they just don't make it for the picture. Um,
yeah, we got
I
to do
mean,
better with that this year. How about that?
yeah, I mean that stuff just means. I guess this is because 30 years from now, I guess we might still have Facebook or whatever, but just to see those memories, you know what I mean? Like it's just nice. Like I look around my office and I got a winter circle picture of with the whole DME crew and you're in it, and there's a bunch of Andy and everybody and your dad, and I just like that's just
Oh yeah.
that stuff like that, man. Like, so realistically, what I'm getting at is, yeah, winning's great, but winning with your friends or your family is better. Like,
Well,
period.
that's what I was going to segue this into as we close it up. And that's what I was going to say for everybody who's listened this long. Hope you enjoyed these stories and all. If we
We
can
give them a
give you a
show tonight.
lesson, yeah, if we can give you a lesson or just advice from us. And as we pointed out, we're not trying to brag or anything. And we got in trouble. We said that too many times, but
Yeah,
we we've lost track of wins and some money and this and that. Like if you're not at the going to the racetrack to make memories with friends and have fun, you're
you're not doing it for the
probably
right reason.
yeah, you're probably not doing it for the right reasons. And
No.
that's coming from us. And Like we said, we've won a lot of stuff. We forgot shit that we've won. I know I have.
Well, as you
You have a
notice,
better memories. So his word, that's our, how about that, Dustin? That's our words of wisdom for the evening is, make sure you're having fun when you go on the track because you're spending a lot of time, money, and effort to do it.
yeah, if you can't go there, you don't want to go there, and it just racing's great. Don't get me wrong, that's awesome. Like drag racing's a passion that we all have, but the downtime. Let's just say there's a rain delay and all your friends are just hanging out, like that stuff. I'm always fine with a rain delay because I get to hang out with my people. You know
I
what I
used
mean?
to
Like,
hate him, but now I
yeah,
couldn't like I don't want to
like,
sound like we're
are they
just
going to
hoping
call
for it.
this? Are
But
they going
yeah,
to call this?
I'm like, man, I was like, we got a break. Yeah, let's hang out. Y'all want to get a
Yeah,
poker game? Let's do something. Let's talk.
go to
Let's hang
eat,
out. Yeah,
whatever,
it's fun.
and that's just how we've evolved, right? We used to go racing to beat them,
Exactly.
and now we go racing for the companionship of our friends and family. And you noticed in my stories, like some of my highlight stories, the ones that wasn't even the most money were the more important ones because it was the people that was around me. The one that I
100%.
won the most money, realistically, I sit on my trailer door in the dew,
That's
cold
sad.
by
That's like
myself.
sad.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like
you know
you're
what I
telling
mean?
it was like a sad story.
I mean, I was, man. I was sitting on my trailer door. Everybody was asleep. I was alone. And I was like, I just now won a lot of money and there's
it's
nobody here. You know what I
it's
mean?
you want to share your triumphs with people. It's not
The people
like
that's, really do care about it for
yeah,
sure. Like,
yeah.
and that's one reason why my wife and daughter are so important because they love any achievement I do, no matter who
Well,
it
they're
was
your biggest
against or
supporters.
whatever. Right. So, when I got my first win, everybody was geeked out. My wife was there, and then the last one, my wife was there, my daughter was there. And man, I ain't gonna lie, my old lady, she is very supportive. Like she'll help me. Just having her hand me a fuel jug sometimes is nice. You know what I mean? Because I do all this stuff by myself, and just to have her there, maybe to hold a bike while I tie something down, or it's just I don't know.
It
Like I
makes a
tell her all the
difference.
time, for me sitting at home, I can sit at home in the recliner with the TV on, and my wife in her spot on the couch, and us not even talking because I'm with her. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And we're just, I guess, we're getting old, and we're realizing
Yeah,
what's important, even though we're not old, but we're just, things change, and just make sure when you go to the racetrack that you have a great time with your friends. I mean, just cook some daggum hot dogs on a charcoal grill, man. Like I guarantee you that and having a cold beer, just hanging out with them, you will like never forget it. I remember many times me and you at XD or IDBL at the time. Remember, I was big into cooking like chicken wings on the grill.
mm-hmm.
I'd cook us chicken wings on the grill. Me and you would tear them things up. And I mean, I think one time Matrowski and his wife come by and they threw some more stuff on my grill. And we just see that's how that sticks in my head is because we were with friends.
Yeah.
You know, it ain't got nothing to do with the racing really. It's
That's
just
our words of wisdom,
yeah.
right?
We
Go
give
have
these
fun with your friends this year and make memories you'll remember because take it from us. You can win a $10,000 race and if you're not celebrating with your friends and family, it's really not that big a deal.
yeah,
Yeah, money's nice, but
you could be sitting on your trailer door in the cold like I was by yourself. You know what
yeah.
I mean? So I mean that's just a true example. That's all real stuff. That was the the like you said, the moral of the deal is just man, just enjoy your friends because life is short. 100%.
Yep. I agree with that. I don't have anything else, man. I will
No,
say
we've give him
this.
a long one tonight.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we did push over 2 hours for sure. I will say
Yeah.
this, we're getting your feedback. Probably one of the things we'll touch on maybe next episode or soon. We've had a couple different people, hit us up about platforms to build bikes, what we think, this is all our opinion, but we'll get to that. How to start out, even just trying to build a drag bike to go about racing. I told Dustin earlier, I was blown away. We got a listener that said they do a lot of street racing and trying to get into it. So I would have never thought in a week we'd have people that weren't, tuned in, die hard drag racers. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. So we'll
Yeah.
get to all kinds of stuff. Keep giving us feedback because our plan is to keep doing this. So you
Yeah.
might not hear it, next week or the week after, but we got to have content. So just keep giving us ideas
And
and
several people lectured us about apologizing. So we are going to
yes.
stop doing that.
So
We're not.
we did. I feel like we did a pretty good job. I just
Yeah.
did like
Yeah.
once there at the end a little bit,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the
But I
most
mean,
part,
yeah,
we
we
just
just
wanted
got
to
to,
make sure. We just want to make sure we
we
weren't
don't want to,
sounding.
yeah, we don't want to sound like arrogant jerks. We have so many stories, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, like you said, the feedback was positive, and that's all we were trying to verify. We didn't
Been
start
racing together for 12 years or so. You know what I mean?
and we didn't
Long
start
time.
this to brag on ourselves. We wanted to
No.
try and provide some type of
Entertainment.
entertainment slash look into the motorcycle drag racing.
I get that sound button up in here, man.
We're gonna have some sounds. I'm gonna put a tiger. I'm just gonna randomly throw a tiger roar into the show when I'm editing.
Find a
I'm not
quiet
even gonna
spot.
try it. Yeah, I'm just gonna you're just gonna be like, well, Dustin went quiet, and then a tiger roared like for 20 seconds. I don't know what. I don't know. Shout out once again to the sponsors we already got on board: Penske Racing Shocks, MTC Engineering, Platinum General Services, Manchester Mines, Hard Times Parts and Service, Night Marketing Group, and the University of Wind. If you want to get involved, just shoot us a message and let us know. We'll figure something out.
Whatever you guys do, we're just giving it to the listeners. Like the sponsorships does not do anything for the overhead of this podcast. So don't forget, maybe donate on Patreon or donate on the podcast website.
Yeah.
Just if you can, if you really enjoy it, like $5 means something to us. Just whatever.
Yeah. If you have some extra dollars, throw them at it. So if not, it's not a big deal either. Our feelings aren't hurt. We'll keep doing it as long as we can. So we're having fun. I'm having fun with it. So let's wrap it up. This is when
that's it, man.
Cue the outro music.
See y'all later.
Thank y'all.